Subscribe to the all-new HardLore Patreon now for early, ad-free access to every episode and an exclusive episode every month.
This is actually like I kind of got into hardcore through Trapped Under Ice. It wasn't like before. Okay. So my introduction to like I hadn't even heard like Marauder before, like like lots of what would become influential hardcore bands for me. On that record, like the song Reality Unfolds, I wrote the music for that even before that time, kind of just through the lens of like what would a cool hardcore band sound like.
Sam, you were so right. Hello, welcome. It's HardLore time. How are you, Bo?
Feeling great, bright and early.
Bright and early, this beautiful Sunday morning. We have a very special guest today.
Who do we got?
I'm going to tell you all about him. From Baltimore, Maryland. Founding member of our generation's greatest hardcore export. Where do I begin here? He's also sometimes known as the Bad Dog. He was formerly known, maybe currently known still, mythically, as one of the most violent moshers in Baltimore.
Oh, God.
Hope your coworkers like that one. He enjoys lifting weights. He enjoys spending time with his family. But we know the demon that lies within. Trapped Under Ice, guitar player, co-founder, riff extraordinaire, mosh scientist, Sam Trapkin. Sam, how are you?
Doing great, man.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You know, this was fate. This was history. As you and I go way back now. You were there on my very first tour.
Oh, right.
Ever as a human being. For your first U.S. and European tours.
Which one was the first one?
The Trapped Under Ice Alpha and Omega Bane one.
The U.S. one?
That was my first tour.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So you saw this duckling grow into a duck king of sorts.
A larger duck.
A much larger duck. What have you been up to in the past couple of years, Sam?
Well, I have a family now. I had 3 kids living in northern Idaho.
Wow. Are you in the thing? The chute of land up in northern Idaho? Like in that thing?
Oh, yeah. The panhandle.
The panhandle.
You're in there.
Yep. It's actually like, have you guys played Spokane before?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like
so.
40 minutes east of Spokane.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So you're a Northwest guy now.
Yeah, I think it's like inland Northwest is what people say.
So does the Northwest know? Do they know that they've got you now as a member?
Well, Seattle's far, so I haven't even gone to anything there. Okay. And there's like really very little in terms of shows and stuff around here. I've been to one so far since I lived here in the last 2.5 years.
Did you go to Spokane for it?
Yeah, it was like actually one of the coolest shows I've ever been to.
Who played?
I have no idea. Like It was just like a local show in someone's add-on garage.
Sick.
And it was like every alternative person from like within 100 miles came to the show, which was like a total of 50 people.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
That's
like
the best.
Rocking out to every band.
That's really what it's all about.
Yeah.
It's what it's all about. Yeah.
Like we ultimately don't matter. That is what keeps it going.
Mm-hmm.
It is. Yeah, they're all having so much fun.
You got Ingrown now flying the Idaho flag as well. So Ingrown, Sam will be joining soon, the band. So it'll be a 4-piece soon. Look out for that.
I wish I lived closer. I think we'd be friends, but they're like Boise's about 8 hours away from here.
That's simply too far.
That's a long panhandle, is what it is.
But
states, so big.
Yeah. How do they work?
How do they work? Let's go back in time here, Sam.
All right.
Let's travel deep back into your historical growth as a young Baltimorean. What is it? Baltimorean?
I've heard that. Yeah.
We'll go with that. Baltimorean, hardcorean. Tell me about finding this beautiful genre of music. And well, first of all, your kids ever seen you spin kick?
I've seen them spin kick.
Okay.
They're
that was a trick question. That's what I want to hear. You passed.
Yeah, they're natural. They actually like they're genuinely into like hard, like they love Slayer and stuff like that, and like thrash music, and Metallica is like their favorite band. So
they're gonna be all right.
They're gonna. It's in the genes,
It's for sure in the genes.
I feel like is it like a biased or what I forget the term, but it's just like I feel like everyone who we know who have kids like aggressive music. Is that just because of the parents?
Well, it can be, but you got to think about it. There's a natural urge to rebel against what your parents like.
It totally. That's why it's confusing to me. But literally, like, I'm thinking of our friends' kids, and they're all like pumped on heavy.
I think there's something to it where they're like, you don't get it. The other kids don't get it. My dad likes cool shit.
Yeah. Maybe.
I will say though, like the age our kids have been when we've gotten them into it, it's not like, hey, check out this awesome music. It's like you put it on, like they'll hear Walk by Pantera. I'm not giving any like commentary on it, and they're super into it. Like I think it's just something with like the energy of it, and
that's probably why.
I don't know.
Timeless.
Yeah.
My dad was putting on Steely Dan and being like, "This is music," and I was like, "All right, dude."
Yeah, I would hear Metallica peripherally, but my dad would be like, no, Genesis is rock.
Exactly, dude.
How do they feel about Dying Fetus? They get there yet?
I'm saving that one for later.
Yeah. As former fetuses themselves, they may not be ready for the message.
What?
It's a little too soon.
Okay, that's fair.
We're starting, like, there's a line as, like Metallica and Pantera is kind of like as far as we go right now. But
dude, I mean, and in all things considered, Pantera's pretty extreme.
Extreme.
Yeah, I mean, we're not going deep into the catalog. We're playing like the.
So you're still at Suicide Note 1.
Yeah, the pretty one.
Okay, got it. All right. So let's go back in time here. Sam Trapkin, Baltimore, as a young lad. How do you find hardcore music?
Well, I'm actually not from. I grew up in Maryland, like 45 minutes south of Baltimore.
Okay.
In a county called Prince George's County, which is basically a different world when you don't have a license. So
yeah, of course.
Yeah. Baltimore was where like the hardcore scene was, and we knew that. So we had our own little mini hardcore scene in PG County. We like made PGHC shirts.
Okay.
Sick.
And who was all PG?
Yeah, anyone we know.
So Kenny Sabercool.
Of course. Great like, friend of the show, Kenny.
Yeah, I mean, core PG member. My friend Travis, who sang in my first metalcore band, Carol, prime member. Joe Hubo, like these are all people that were kind of friends in high school and that sort of thing.
Okay.
And Anton, notable PG.
Absolutely.
Person. Yeah.
PG Anton, of course.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, like those worlds didn't start melding until like I was 15 or 16. Yeah. Like Justice came down to a PG show, like a basement show. And then I started going up to Baltimore shows around that time, like 15, 16. Yeah.
Wow.
That tracks. That's about when my suburban friend group started playing and doing shows in the city, like that totally.
So how does hardcore make it to PG?
Well, it's pretty much metalcore then. You know what I mean? Like in the early 2000s, my memory of it back then was like hardcore was basically like metalcore. Like that was kind of like the main scene, like bands like Throwdown and like
18 Visions was
like that was all kind of just hardcore to me.
Poison the Well was like they're
the
fucking,
Chromax.
Yeah, exactly. It's like they're fucking it, dude.
Yeah.
What time frame are you talking, Sam?
My first show was like 2002, I think.
Yeah,
around there, and it was like, what was that? It was like local bands. There's a band, Age of Ruin, from Maryland, and Carved in Stone. They were kind of like the big Maryland metalcore bands.
Sick.
But back then it was like I had no concept of hardcore versus metalcore, and I came from like metal backgrounds. Like I grew up listening to Metallica and started playing guitar because of Metallica. So those are the bands I was like, oh, well, I can kind of get down with this, like.
So I would assume you brought the name Trapped Under Ice as an idea.
So that is just a direct Metallica reference.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's kind of fun. There's definitely some like there was like some confusion early on where I thought Justice knew that was a Metallica song.
Yo, hold up.
He like didn't know it was a Metallica song. So
He came up with his own thesis about like what it means to
Yeah.
feel like you're trapped under ice.
What is ice?
we had our first show booked before we had a name, and
Okay.
then so we knew we were playing a show, and me and him had like a list of names that we're trying to come up with, and I was like, yeah, Trapped Under Ice, and he was like, oh yeah, that's cool, man. I never said what it was, so we just went with it.
Oh, that's so good.
I think like seeing what came out of that after like the Stay Cold record, all the records, the songs about being cold and cold as ice, and
Yeah.
you presenting that name to him was probably like, holy shit. I myself am trapped under ice.
Yeah,
So
I think
this
it
works.
deeply related. Yeah.
Wow, that's beautiful.
You know what I was just realizing in talking about Justice? I think Sam this might be the first instance where we have a second member of a band on the show.
It might be other than
you know-
like people in my bands. Yeah.
Other than yes. But like I think this is the first time where we like went out of our way to have like another member of a band we've already talked
Yeah.
to.
We can
Which
talk
is-
about everything we already talked about. We can talk about
I
Clippa
don't
again.
I didn't even mean it that way. I just think it's interesting.
I
Prolific.
got you.
if you-
No, I agree. So, Carol's your first band. You're spin kicking people's heads off. Tell me about venturing into Baltimore often. What were some big shows you saw that just really changed things for you?
Yeah, I mean, like the big shows back then would be at Autobar, and it would
Yeah.
be like Converge and Darkest Hour would be like a massive show, which in retrospect is probably like 300 people,
Yeah, how many people can fit in Autobar? Is that where
I think it's 300 or 400.
we that's where we went, right, Colin? Didn't we go there? It was the pre-show for the
Yeah, did that shut down for a while because of something, Sam?
Yeah.
There's been like multiple shutdowns for, I know you're talking, they're different reasons, different times.
Then yes, we did, Bo.
Yeah, that is that one. Yeah, for sure.
It's back.
But it's just cool to put yourself in the room. I could definitely see an early Converge show like popping there,
There's been eras of like no shows at all, then eras of like you can't stage dive, like, and then it's shut down again, and now it's back now, is my understanding.
It sure is. It's great. It's great in there.
Yeah. But
Beautiful
that
room.
it's really funny to think back now. Like those were like the crazy big shows that would come through. Like I remember Terror coming through with Throwdown and Bleeding Through. I think like that was a big tour, but mostly the shows there were pretty small and kind of dark in retrospect. It was like smoking inside was still illegal, and you go to like Sidebar. You guys have played Sidebar before. It's people have seen it's like a really long, narrow bar that fits maybe 100 people, and yeah, there'd be shows there like, every week, and
every single person in the room, and you're assaulting your friends.
I wasn't at that point. I mean, that was like I was just watching back then because it's
learning.
The royal you. That's the goal is that's my buddy.
people are getting assaulted.
He better
for
get
sure.
out of my way.
But it's
I
like,
love you so much.
massive like 300-pound dudes that like, are hammered. It's probably like 11 p.m. and the first band is playing. The room's full of smoke. Like the show's not fun at all. You know what I mean? Like it's not a good vibe. So it's actually a miracle that, I mean, it's just funny now because I see like the shows that are happening, and then probably someone's first show now is like they're going to see Speed or Turnstile or something.
Yeah.
It's just like 1,000+ people in a nice venue, and it looks
You
so
can't
fun.
even mosh. There's so many people.
Right. So
At the TUI comeback, dude, it was unmoshable
Yeah, it was
Right.
packed.
because everybody
Yeah.
was singing,
yeah,
which is
so,
I mean, that's
Yeah.
kind of as cool as
Pretty
it gets.
cool.
Yeah. The best problem.
no
to
room
have.
for violence.
But
you
it
know?
does make you wonder what's the fallout going to be? When is that bubble going to burst and we go
Right.
back into the doldrums?
I mean, that was it may have already burst and we don't know it. you
Right.
know?
Yeah, you're
True.
right.
When it's all barricades, the bubble has burst. Lose them. Anyway,
Yeah,
so when does
those-
so Stout and Next Step Up for you? Just tell me about finding that era of Baltimore hardcore and realizing like, oh, my home area gave birth to two of the hardest bands to ever exist.
I don't think I appreciated that until much later. you know? So like when I was getting into metalcore stuff, I had friends like Justice and others that like actually knew about hardcore, like like non-metalcore hardcore. And
Yeah.
so Next Step Up and Stout were kind of in that bucket where I knew who they were, and I'd hear of them, or I'd see Stout, but I didn't understand or appreciate their significance, you know?
Sure.
So back then it's like, oh yeah, Stout's playing. Or, like I heard Next Step Up in the van all the time, but I didn't understand how legendary they were back then. You know what I mean?
And now you see.
Yeah, I listen to Next Step Up way more now than I did when I was in my teens. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But
hindsight should have.
Yeah, but that stuff, like Next Step Up, the sound of that and the sound of Stout is like in the air in Baltimore.
Yeah.
So like, even though I wasn't necessarily like listening to those bands a ton early on, it was undoubtedly a massive influence.
Yeah.
I swear I didn't wear this shirt on purpose, but tell me about, because I know you're a big Hatebreed guy.
Big Hatebreed guy.
I know it flows through your veins. It flows through every riff that comes out of you. Tell me about discovering Hatebreed and implementing their mosh science into your experiments in the lab.
Yeah, I mean, Hatebreed was a big deal for me in more ways than one. It kind of coincided with my like starting to lift weights phase. Hatebreed's like the best soundtrack for lifting weights. So
to this day,
like to this day, my gym playlist is still probably like 50% Hatebreed.
Perseverance,
Rise of Brutality,
Rise.
Yeah. It's just so. My first Hatebreed was actually pretty cool. I downloaded, this was like LimeWire era, downloaded a couple songs, including Smash Your Enemies. That was like the first song that I heard. And I was like, I don't know what this is, but this I like. And that was kind of like in the bucket of, I hadn't really heard hardcore a whole lot yet. So I liked metalcore, and then I knew of a little bit of Madball, that Hatebreed I discovered, and I knew like one or two others. So it was kind of like an early hardcore band where I was like, oh, I actually like this. I'm down with this.
And this is you're not downloading records at this time.
No,
you're downloading
like
tracks,
dude.
It's what I want people, especially younger people listening to realize is like, we had the finest tooth comb to try and find this music, and it was fucking impossible. So to stumble upon something like Hatebreed, done.
Without the help of anyone, we got it done.
But to stumble upon something like Hatebreed through Kazaa or LimeWire is crazy. Yeah. Because I found the Throwdown Baby Got Back cover. You know what I mean? That's what a good song, but that's what I found. Like you could be led astray for sure.
100%.
And it was also like back then, like the songs that you downloaded, you just listened to no matter what.
Right.
Or like the CDs that you had, like Biohazard was another band that I got into back then before I was like really knew what hardcore was. Because our friend Ian Marshall, I don't know if you guys know him, he's like in that band Give and other Baltimore bands. Okay. He gave me a Biohazard CD for my like 19th or 20th birthday. And I didn't like know who they were yet, but I just listened to it all the time.
Okay.
Isn't that a simpler time?
We get what we got, man. That's why I've seen Home Alone 1,000 times. I had to take
exactly
straight up.
That's the one I had. So that's the one I like.
I like that one.
But so that was early Hatebreed, and then right around that time, this is probably like 2005 or 6. Hatebreed played the Big Room at Sonar, and it was like comically like the most violent thing I've ever seen. Like it was like a movie. Like I walked in the back doors that kind of like walk in from the back of the room. And as soon as I walked in, I'm not joking, it was halfway through the end of
Beholder of Justice.
Beholder of Justice. And I could visibly see like 4 or 5 fights happening simultaneously in different parts of the room. And back then it was like peak Hatebreed, like it was college bro, like military dudes, versus hardcore kids. And it was just like out of a movie. So that was like my first like real dramatic Hatebreed exposure. This is crazy.
The Wayne's World scene. I always wanted to open a room.
Exactly. Pretty much was like that. Yeah.
Beautiful. So you're growing up in the 2000s. Hatebreed is, you just beheld Justice in this big room. No pun intended.
I also really quickly, that show, I walked into the back of the room with a big puffy coat on, and I had a chicken breast in each pocket of my jacket.
Because you were lifting already?
Cooked. Yeah, this is like peak bodybuilder era.
Okay.
You had to get the macros in. Wow.
Yeah, so
You can't if you go an hour without 35 grams.
He loses everything.
You'll lose it all.
I mean, just out of sight here, I have a God's Hate bag, like a tote bag.
Beautiful.
That at all times has hundreds of grams of protein, just like ready to go.
The go bag.
What do you got? What's in there?
Well, I carry shakes in there. I have like beef sticks. I bring like, I've been doing a lot of carbs recently, so I'll bring like all types of carb stuff, you know. Like,
You're the real deal, man.
Now, is that for literally like an emergency, or just like, oh, I got to go run errands. I don't want to think about what I'm going to eat. I'm just going to take the bag.
no, it's usually like I'm going somewhere and there's not going to be food, or when I come to the office, I'll bring it. But it's
What's your
pretty fast.
shake of choice?
I use this powder. I don't tolerate whey protein very well.
Me
so
neither.
I
I'm an isolate only.
I don't do well with that either.
Really?
Dude, there's a beef, like it's a grass-fed beef protein powder off of Amazon. You can get it. The brand's called Equip. It's awesome. It's like,
Does it
not-
taste beefy?
no, dude, it tastes better than whey. It's not cheap,
Really?
but it like I digest it perfectly, and it's like really good protein. So
So you got a sensitive
highly recommend
stomach?
it. Dude, whey for some reason, man, I can't do
Your
it.
stomach hurts?
Dude, I'm so fortunate that whey is fine for me because it's
I
so
mean, whey's the
fucking
best if
cheap.
you can
Oh,
do it.
dude, way I
So
will
cheap.
blast off this chair right now.
Same here.
But isolate, you would never know. I would be silently blasting off the chair.
I had a gluttonous kid moment at the Circle K by me. They have Nesquik makes protein shakes now,
Oh,
and they're
man.
full of sugar, but they're full of protein, and they're so good. Dude.
I mean, have you had the Fairlife chocolate one?
That's the best one.
Dude,
It's unbelievable.
it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I'm not even a chocolate guy. I can't. I'm sucking this thing down all day.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. The Costco has one too that has it's shelf stable, so it doesn't have to be refrigerated. So you can have it in the van or something on the road.
All of them are. All of them
Oh
are.
yeah, good point. Good point. But this Costco one's in a white bottle. It's made by Fairlife. It's got 32 grams a bottle,
Wow.
and it's like 8 ounces.
The technology is really advanced. I just want to say,
Sure.
like, dude, when we used to travel and tour, like it was so grim. The protein options, like if
Dude,
you go
muscle milk is to this day the grossest thing I've
It's
consistently.
disgusting.
but muscle
had.
milk was like a huge step in innovation, dude. Like,
Yeah,
when
of
that came
course.
out, you're like, oh my god, dude, they have muscle milk in 7-Eleven now. This is insane. It used to be like the massive protein bars that were disgusting, like the
Chalk, just chalk.
just chalk, yeah, like the Metarex bars, dude.
Oh, dude, I remember those vividly.
Yeah. I probably still have
brutality.
Metarex like in my bones, probably. I
funny,
lost
this is-
years of my life from that.
This is the opposite of the early vegan conversation.
Right.
Like, yeah, touring back in the day, it was brutal. It's like, yeah, I was eating chicken everywhere.
Yeah, you fuck with like the egg and the meat and cheese sticks or what?
On tour?
Yeah, like the gas station egg.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I went through we toured with Death Before Dishonor in 2008, and if you remember Frankie from that band, he was
Yeah, big
absolutely
guy.
massive. And we were like, both into lifting weights at that time, and he would go to the gas station and get a dozen eggs, like raw eggs, and just crack them and just dump them in his mouth raw.
Wow.
And he like convinced me, he's like, dude, this is the best thing on tour because it's like the best possible protein. And I like got hyped up about it, and I stopped and tried it, and I just like immediately started. I couldn't swallow it.
Oh, he's different. Yeah,
Yeah.
well, we're not
different,
built
dude.
like that. We're not built that way.
But I get the hard boiled eggs often.
Yeah, those are
Yeah.
that'll do.
Often.
Yeah, I've done those. Those are good.
What a wacky world we inhabit.
But
you know?
but yeah, going to see Hatebreed with a chicken breast
With
per
double
pocket.
chicken breast.
Yeah, double
Double,
up.
yeah.
dual wielding chicken breasts. That's awesome. So you're early phase 1 workout guy. How
Yep.
early before Trapped Under Ice is this now?
This is like right before, pretty
Okay.
much.
Do you
Yeah.
have other bands between Carol and TUI?
I joined Nick Fury, which Justice was in and Kenny sang in,
Right.
which at the time was not really my cup of tea. Like, I mean, like it was good music and everything. They were super into like I don't know, more traditional stuff
Yeah.
and like faster hardcore, and that was also like when more melodic hardcore was popular. So it was like mid 2000s.
We'll get to that.
Yeah.
Okay. But they're like, we were literally sharing, like, we had the same drummer in Carol and Nick Fury. So I would just hang out for the Nick Fury practice. And then they're just like, do you want to be in the band now? And I was like, yeah, sure. and I would just start adding like solos to every song. That's pretty much what happened. Is I joined. They had 2 EPs, and then Justice and I started writing a new record in like 2006 that never materialized. And I can't remember what the songs were now, but it was basically like probably On the Way to TUI sound. Like it was kind of much heavier.
The proto demo songs.
Yeah. And then I think that was kind of like a transition year. And then that summer, Justice basically lived at my parents' house, more or less. Like he was working down near my parents in PG County and was just like staying over a bunch. And basically that summer was just me and him lifting weights in my garage. And I had that State of the World Address CD. And I'm not joking, dude. It was the only CD in the garage.
So State of the World Address, that's the one you got that Ian gave
that was
you?
the one, yeah.
That's a great gift.
How about that?
Amazing.
Because I call that to this day like the most ambitious hardcore record ever written.
I think it's one of the greatest of all time. I know you guys like Master Killer a lot. I think it's like right up there. Like,
I have always argued that I feel the same, and it's like
it's true.
That's third in most people's rankings of their first 3 records, and it's just wrong. It's the best one.
Wait, third in Biohazard?
Yes, dude.
That's crazy.
Everybody says Urban Discipline best, and it's simply not true. It goes State of the World Address, self-titled, Urban Discipline. That's the order.
I was gonna say third of all time, all bands.
Respect.
Yeah.
Because I'm a Danny Schuler man, and that's Danny's finest hour. Drum-wise, that shit is crazy.
It's so good.
He's locked.
But that was pretty much like a super formative time because we're lifting weights every day. Like State of the World Address is the only CD that we're listening to, and I feel like that was kind of the Nick Fury to TUI transition.
Wow,
that's all I want to do right now. That is all I want to do.
To this day, I was doing something the other day. I was like, what was I doing, man? I was talking to Justice about listening to music and just lifting weights, and he was like, "Oh man, I wish I was there right now." Like, it's still so good.
I mean, how many albums would be written in a week if you 2 could just lift weights in a room together nearby again?
Oh man,
to be young,
Yeah,
that'd be amazing.
Yeah. But anyway, here we are. We're about at the genesis of TUI. The demo. What were you doing? How did you know? Because how do you think to do that? Because there's a Crown of Thorns in there.
Sure.
And then you go to the straight up 01 mosh and Reality Unfolds. So many things happen on this demo that like you can see why every facet of hardcore was obsessed with it. Because it like does everything in a way that doesn't do too much, if that makes sense. It's focused because it is cohesive, but it's so universally palatable.
It checks all boxes. Yeah.
What were you doing? What happened? What influenced Trap Under Ice? What was the demo all about?
Yeah, well, so me and Justice were writing together for that Nick Fury record, and I think that was kind of like made us think we should maybe do another band. But I'd say he came in with a vision for a new band more than I did. And we wanted to write. Him. Yeah. And obviously like we wanted to write together. But this is actually like I kind of got into hardcore through Trapped Under Ice. It wasn't like before. Okay. So my introduction to like I hadn't even heard like Marauder before, like like lots of what would become influential hardcore bands for me. So actually on that record, like the song Reality Unfolds, I wrote the music for that even before that time, kind of just through the lens of like, what would a cool hardcore band sound like? Having no idea. Like I'd heard like, a few hardcore bands.
Sam, you were so right.
But what's funny is like that to me would be the worst advice to give someone to be like, I want to start a band. How should I write? Do what you think a cool hardcore band would do.
That's the best
like the
advice,
last
dude.
thing I would say.
No, I think that's it's so stupid that it's genius.
Obviously it worked. But
write what you think surprising. Cool hardcore is, and then you go John and Chin Chin John and Chin Chin, and you've never been more right in your life.
Well, it's funny because like me and Justice, we've been friends for a while at that time, and his group of friends were more into like I came from like the straight up like metalcore kind of background, and like Carol was like a beatdown metalcore band, and the bands that he was in, like he was in this band, The Fall Line, which was always like they didn't really have like mosh parts, and they're a little bit more kind of like artistic, it wasn't like a straight up hardcore band. And he didn't come from like the beatdown or like the metalcore world as much. So I remember actually showing him the main riff of Reality Unfolds and being kind of like insecure. I'm like, hey man, like I think this could be cool. What do you think? And he's like, oh yeah, nice. I like that. And I was like, all right, this is going to be good. Like he likes it. And then, yeah, seriously. But then like you can tell in the demo, if you listen to the different songs, that you can tell which ones like he wrote versus me, just because there wasn't really like a collective sound of the band yet. And
but it both makes sense in context, which is like nearly impossible to do.
Yeah. No, we were perfect for each other for writing, because he'll balance me out and vice versa. Like if I was the only one writing, it would be like all like metallic beatdown stuff, and then if he was writing, it'd probably be like he'd probably get too melodic and too crazy, like structure, like whatever it is.
Sure.
Like, we always kind of counterbalance each other.
Like that, does it like Soul Vice? Is that Justice?
Yeah.
He's writing a 40-second.
Like straight through. I don't think I can contribute anything to that.
How do you think of that?
Dude, Justice is like a genius, man.
It's like I really genuinely believe so.
100%.
And a lot of that is in the vocal placements.
Yeah.
Of because I have to imagine you write a song and you're like, all right, that song's written, and then he sings over it and you're like, what? This is 5 new songs.
Yeah.
How are you gonna say this many? How are you gonna do this? How are you ever gonna do this again? Like the half a person intro.
Yeah. I think we had that vision though for the band, because we were like, again, coming straight out of like a full summer of State of the World Address, which is like a pretty rappy record. So I think
big time
early vision of the band was like heavy. Justice definitely had the kind of Crown of Thorns type of influence, but then also like kind of rappy vocally. Like that was definitely, I think, part of the original vision for sure.
And he had some things to get off his mind. That sounded like
he did. Yeah.
That seems like the like purpose of the band was like, hey, I need you. We're gonna write some stuff, but really, I got to get some stuff off my mind.
Well, I can't do
funny,
MySpace. I need this.
I think you guys probably know this, but he wasn't even supposed to sing in the band originally. It was supposed to be Anton, and it wasn't until like I don't know how long before we recorded, but it was like last minute that Justice did it instead.
Really?
Wow. And like we never even heard Justice sing before, so like him recording the demo was like I hope Justice sounds cool, because like this could be a disaster.
Wow. Was he gonna play second guitar?
Yeah, just gonna play guitar.
Wow. It's crazy too that all over the demo is the bar chord. The like playing power chord on A, but then holding your down, and like to say that you weren't really into Marauder yet. Like I would have listened to that demo and been like, these guys fucking love Marauder,
Yeah.
But just like musically, that's where did that?
I mean,
I remember discovering that chord myself, like being young and being like, "Whoa, that sounds crazy!" Like, did that come to you from something?
I think Justice maybe. I mean, Crown of Thorns does that, and I remember Integrity was pretty popular then, and I remember like hearing Integrity do that. So I think those were possible influences. But then I discovered Marauder like right super early, and that was huge.
Okay,
actually, like this is also out of a movie. I remember the cover of the demo when we shot it. We broke down, finished the photo shoot or whatever, and then Klippa drove off.
It's a great photo.
Good photo, yeah. Klippa drove off in this car that was like 20 feet long, like this like old like Cadillac looking type of car with like horrible speakers, and he had his windows down. And as he's driving away from that photo, it's and I was like, wait, like what is that? I ran up to his car and I was like, dude, what are you listening to right now? And he said, told me the record, and that's how I got into Marauder, was from
that. The day, so moments after this iconic photo was taken.
That's awesome.
If you look at that photo, just imagine me like minutes after running to his car, and
that's awesome. That's great.
So
beautiful.
But yeah, like you can hear it like on Stay Cold. It's way. I mean, like Skeleton Heads is super. Yeah. I'd say Marauder influenced.
Yeah, you said Anton was the original singer of TUI, and I feel like Anton's voice is still flowing like through the veins of Baltimore.
Yeah,
like there's a lot of Anton in Brendan's voice.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know. There could be a style thing just from there, but yeah, man. I mean, Anton's like
He's
a
the gift that
mythical
keeps on
character.
giving. You know,
He is, man. He
Do you
is.
follow him on Letterboxd?
I don't even know what that is.
Dude, it's a movie ranking app.
Oh, someone sent me a screenshot.
I did.
Oh, is he? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I
do
just
not
saw
follow
one
him,
day. Anton, gave Avengers: Infinity War 5 stars, and for some reason it just made me laugh. Let me find his letterbox here. PG Anton.
Yeah. We still keep in touch, man. He's awesome.
He's the best. His top 4. He's a movie watching motherfucker, man. His top 4: Wicker Man,
Which one?
Okay.
for sure. OG, I think. Rosemary's Baby. Imagine Anton watching Rosemary's Baby. I would pay $100 to watch Rosemary's Baby with Anton.
You should have him on here. He would never go on, but you should have him on and just talk through his top rankings.
He loves Silence of the Lambs.
Beautiful.
He liked Long Legs. Bo, you hated it. Movie rocks. Anyway, that's Anton's letterbox. Check him out on Letterboxd. PG Anton.
We always try to get him, like when we play Baltimore now, like, Anton, can you do the streetlights part? And he like aggressively says no. Like,
Dude, I watched him physically. Well, you guys were waiting for him to do it at the return show, and he was in the back like, just waving it out. He won't do it. His voice is unbelievable. That's him on Streetlights. To the listeners, when you hear that part, this guy that comes in where you go, well, that guy is the coolest voice I've ever heard.
Yeah.
That would be Anton.
Yep.
All right. So demo comes out. Melodic hardcore is on its deathbed. Thank God.
Coffin nail.
One year later, Stay Cold hits, and it's pandemonium
Everywhere.
It's worth saying, I don't think people appreciate this, but like if you're trying to start a popular hardcore band in like 2006 or 2007, we pretty much did the opposite of everything that you would do. Like
100%.
Having a cover of a record where you're like shirtless on a stoop and then you have like beat down hardcore riffs, like
100%.
You are a complete outcast. So like there's just to be clear, like no vision back then of like us being like a notable band. It was like, we'll probably play some cool shows in Baltimore was the extent of it. Cause at that time you're rocking like a size small or medium shirt and you're like making a band that sounds like Champion or Verse or something like that. And we're coming in with 2X off the bat. You know what I mean? And
you really were, man. It spoke to me. It spoke to me instantaneously.
Yeah,
it was because at the same time that you were doing that, I was also breaking down every aspect of State of the World Address every single day. I was writing theses about it privately.
That is
this demo.
My earliest memory of you. I was like thinking about this, and all I can remember is you just walking around listening to your iPod, like just your headphones are in, and you're just listening to music all day long.
I'm a student of the game, Sam.
You were an absolute student. I could tell that you were breaking down records.
I was 18 years old on that tour, and think about this. And you let me know if you remember this. Motherfuckers double my age are begging to use my computer to take music off my iTunes.
Was it Brad?
It was. I think it was the Bane guys. Some Brad. God, I love me some Brad.
Brad is his. He's a self-described completist. Where we back in those days, like when we go on tour and there's like iPods and stuff.
Yeah.
Brad would like peel off with the person we were staying with and be like going through their iTunes and be like, "Oh, nice, man, you got this." Nice.
Yeah.
Let me get. He like pull out his iPod and like pull it all on and
dude, you used to have like a special program for that to like. Right. And you could rip shit off of people's iPods onto your library.
It was called I Rip It.
I Rip It.
And dude, it was like a video game. It felt like a side quest. Like
yeah.
Oh, I'm collecting all this music.
Game Shark.
Yeah,
Brad's still in the quest. He still has his iPods, I think, to this day.
He's a completist.
I got mine.
To this day.
Yeah. Still got mine.
Beautiful. But yeah, that was we'll get to that tour. We're not quite there yet. We're at Stay Cold now, so the demo, that was Flat Spot?
Yep.
Is that like Flat Spot 001 or 002 or something?
Yeah, it was for sure early on. Yeah.
That's really cool. And then look at them now. Mm-hmm. The growth.
It's awesome, dude. It's so cool.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Stay Cold comes around. This is when Reaper is just running the world.
Wow, yeah. Damn.
And I remember the anticipation. I vividly remember being like, man, what is new TUI going to sound like? and like how hard it delivered immediately and how universally it felt like a classic immediately.
What year was that, Colin?
2008.
Okay. Damn.
Tell me about putting together Stay Cold. This is kind of, so who's in the band now? It's Ben on drums.
Yeah, still the same lineup as the demo, I believe, at least for like the writing part. Brendan and Brad joined in 2009, and I think Jared did. It was all kind of around the same time.
Because Brendan didn't play on Secrets of the World.
No.
Which was that was a year later?
I think we recorded Secrets of the World in 2008, or maybe it was early 2009. I don't know, but
God, back to back to back.
Just a factory over there.
Yeah, so it was kind of the same lineup for Stay Cold in the demo in terms of
Gotcha.
Sure.
at least to my memory. But yeah, it's funny you say that because I think back then it didn't really seem like it, in real time. Like when we were playing shows back then, they weren't like huge, crazy shows or anything like that.
But I'm in California, across the country, obsessing over this thing.
Oh, dude, here too in Chicago. I remember seeing the demo, and I remember, to your point, Seth, being like, "Why do these guys have their shirts off? Like, what are they doing?"
Hearing it,
and then hearing it, being like, "Oh, this is cool. This is heavy." and then I remember even thinking like, "Oh wow, the Stay Cold has like illustration on it."
Yeah,
it's like different. Like they're doing something like even that little thing was like, "Oh, I wonder what this sounds like."
Was that Klippa's dad?
Yep, Dan Higgs,
legendary artist.
Legendary.
Okay, so I brought up Half a Person earlier, because to me that's like, even now thinking about it, especially then, that's like an unwritable song.
Yeah.
Do you ever go back and hear that and do you, any of this? Do you go back and listen to this and say, how did we do that?
Yeah, because those first two records were like pre-ability to demo stuff. And
oh wow, right.
And so like you're not recording to a click, you're not understanding how stuff fits together, which is like there's pros and cons to that. So
yeah, it's raw, it's human.
Yeah,
exactly.
But it's chaos. It can't not be chaos, but it should be.
In my head, Half a Person was like the most well organized, like structured song when like I wrote the music for it. But like when we went to re-record Reality Unfolds, for Big Kiss Goodnight, it was like 10 different tempos when we actually like mapped it out. So it's just like stuff like that. Like Half a Person probably has 10, 15 different tempos.
Yeah, because you're not thinking about that.
And even actually riffs in the song, you probably couldn't even lay to like put on a bar because it's like grid. It doesn't fit into
half of the bar and then 3/4 of the bar. Yeah, that's why I hate demoing like that.
Yeah,
totally.
I still don't like to do it because it's not. I'd rather just hit play and
play it.
Yeah, if it works, it works. Stay Cold, the title track, like world-ending, life-changing. So this is around the time when I think melodic hardcore is now truly
begging.
Yeah, it's on its last breath. It's on a ventilator. It's going. This people are discovering like, no, this is what we actually want. And you guys toured quite a bit on this record and the demo, right?
I don't know a ton on Stay Cold because I was still in school, and again, like we weren't like, it's not like if we went out and played shows, there were big shows or anything then. Even when Secrets of the World had come out, we toured with Terror in 2008, and that was like our first, well, there was a US tour with Trash Talk, which I did not do because I was in school, and then the first like significant US tour beyond that was with Terror, Death Before Dishonor, Warriors, and that was, by the way, a
crazy tour,
2.5 month long tour.
Yeah.
And,
holy fuck!
Yeah, that was on Stay Cold, I guess. And yeah, like when we were on that, we were playing first on that bill. Even before the CDC was on it, we were before CDC, and we would play to like 0 people some days. Like, room was just filling up with people. No one really knew who we were. It wasn't until we played Sound and Fury on that tour, and that was like mind blowing for us because that was the first show where we're like, oh, people know us.
Dude, I was in the pit.
Oh, dude, that was such a good Sound and Fury. That was so fun.
I mean, you were 5th or 6th to last even then, and then headline the next year.
Yeah. So that
Pretty
was
cool.
like a cool moment. But yeah, like I think the heavy touring for us came more like post Secrets of the World when I was
Okay.
out of school. Yeah.
Beautiful. So let's get the Secrets of the World. It's LP time. Pressure's on.
Ultimate pressure.
Ultimate pressure. This is debut, because you guys, like, if you look at the formula for what a hardcore band should do, you said that you did the opposite, but in many ways you did it perfectly. Where you did groundbreaking demo, whether you knew it or not.
Mm-hmm.
Better 7-inch,
Mm-hmm.
whether you knew it or not. And now it's LP time, and like you really did it. You did it here. You did everything you're supposed to do. Perfect opener. Perfect. The 1-2 punch of track 1 and 2.
Crazy.
It is like that's kind of the secret sauce to making a timeless record. Is like 1 and 2 have to be unforgettable.
Wow.
And by golly, did you do that? You sent me recently a demo of like a voice note demo of you playing Believe. I'm gonna pop that in here right here. Can you believe that?
I
that
couldn't believe it. I can't believe it.
It's just that makes it sound. I think it's easy to look at these very mythically, to me, you know, because like this is, my like peak, my passion for hardcore begins 2005, 6, 7, and this is, you're like the band that's emerging in that era, and you're doing all the things that I want to hear. And it's like I'm seeing a mirror as a band. The timing and the quality, truly just unbelievable. Tell me about putting Secrets of the World. What was that about?
I was just gonna say there's other aspects of it too, being a music video that was actually cool, which was borderline impossible, and still to this day is almost impossible.
Yeah,
merch was rocking. Like everything about the band was so like perfect time, perfect place, along with the right creative behind it, and in a subculture that was like dying for that kind of a sea change.
Totally.
Were you when you were writing and recording for this first LP, were you aware? Like, did you get back from that Sound and Fury and go, damn, I guess we got to put in some work and make sure we follow up?
I think the big thing that changed for me between those two was touring with Terror and seeing what like a real band is like, because, well, in a couple ways. First of all, like on that tour when we first started, we would play a song and just stop after the song and just have like feedback. And I don't know if we even had tuners with us. We had the chord coming out of the amp type
Straight
of style.
Yeah.
So bad. Like touring with them and watching them, like, oh, like you can actually
be
care. Tight. You can care and like be good and have a set list, you know. And
a lot of bands have that experience. That you really it's easy to. That's a great piece of advice: is look at Terror,
dude,
and learn.
The first real tour we did was Terror.
There you go.
Terror and the Acacia Strain, and it very much a similar experience. It was like, oh, that's how you take care of merch, or oh, you drive a little bit overnight, and okay, cool, like all the things.
We had all that, but for me, I met so I made pretty good friends with Nick from Terror on that tour, and I'd never met him before, and I was like curious about how they wrote their songs, and I'd heard something about how that dude Renee from Germany was like helping them write or something, which I don't think was true, but I brought it up to Nick, and he was kind of like, nah, man, like I write our songs. And I was like, whoa, like that's cool, because he's like pretty quiet and kind of like unassuming, you know. So like I just didn't think he was writing all the songs, and he's the drummer.
Yeah,
so
he's the king, he's the mastermind.
We started talking about that, and I was like, oh, you really think about songwriting? That's crazy. He was like, yeah, like I listen to other genres and like, you know, pick apart the structure of it, and here's what like kind of helped me understand that there's like more to than just like writing random riffs, you know. And so I hadn't thought zero about songwriting before that point. And then so on that tour, he's like talking to me about that. He showed me how to use GarageBand to like make little demos.
Wow.
So actually that demo I sent you, I like turned into a GarageBand demo on that tour with Nick helping me.
Wow.
And if you listen to like some parts of that demo, like they actually didn't fit into like a bar because it was like the timing made no sense. So like stuff like that, you know, I kind of figured out. But Yeah, like I would say the writing of Secrets of the World was very much this like shift to obsessive songwriting. And I like that's what
It
I
shows.
really,
I mean, it shows even in the first two songs alone.
yeah.
See God is another like unwritable song to me. I hear that and I go like, I don't even
Can you define unwritable?
I don't understand how it's just a perfect a perfect like meeting of vocal and riff where it's like
Right.
Justice is doing things that the average singer would not think to do.
Yeah.
And what he's doing enhances the music so much. The music's already good.
Which is rare in this
It's
genre.
so rare.
Yeah.
And it hasn't happened since with a band, really. Of like it's a style that's impossible to replicate. It's just because
Justice is
it's so
impossible
real.
to replicate. He's
100%.
one of one.
One of one.
But yeah, I mean, like stuff like that. Yeah, like me and him were sitting there together, like vocal idea, make the song go behind the vocal idea. Like we did that a bunch. It wasn't
So
just
it
like,
wasn't like, hey, I have this riff, I have this song, write some vocals. It
No.
was like it was a the riffs and the vocals are written collaboratively.
totally. Or
Wow.
it'd be like, hey, this part of the song I'm leaving kind of open, you know, like probably there's a vocal lead, like stuff like that. So we would definitely have that in mind because I don't know, man. That's obviously a big part of the band, you know.
Yeah.
Like, so there's
Well,
parts, and I probably took that from Nick too, where it's like you have different focuses throughout the song. It's not just like a raging guitar song the whole time. It's like
Right.
vocally led parts, you know, guitar led parts, whatever.
I'm just thinking of two of like the ring outs in Believe in the verse. And he's that's really just him and drums.
That's textbook songwriting 101.
Yeah.
Is hey, do something cool here.
Right.
Yeah.
Go.
That song, that's got a lot of words in it. But I know from experience.
Oh yeah, that's right. You were like I think you were the backup MVP at that show.
I was chosen.
You-
There was
you
a
and-
show in Traverse City, Michigan,
Oh.
where Justice was very sick and couldn't sing.
Oh, that's what you're talking about. I thought you were talking about the Baltimore show.
Oh, that too, obviously.
Okay.
But and the whole tour had to sing a song, and nobody wanted to sing "Believe"
Really?
because it had so many words. Colin sang "Believe," and he did all right. And I remember Anton being like, "Yo, you did pretty good," and that meant a lot to me because I was just a little fucker at that time.
Yeah.
Nobody really knew me. I barely talked, but then they let me sing, and then the real me. That's the real me. Yeah, that was very cool. So Secrets of the World is out. This is around the time that I meet you guys because you're touring a lot off this one. You became a German hardcore band for a while. You're Germany's #1 hardcore band.
This is definitely when I remember seeing TUI everywhere. This is where I was like, wow, they're fucking going for it. You know.
Tell us about hitting the road hard and some of your favorite tours from that time.
I feel like it was a different era then because like the minimum tour length then was like 8 weeks.
Yeah.
I can't remember playing a tour that was like less than 8 weeks back then. It was just like by default at least. So our first, I mean, one of the funnest tours we did was the Terror US tour, which was right before Secrets, and then after we did a summer tour with Europe with Terror in Europe, and that was like Born from Pain, Terror, us. I'm forgetting one, but it was like 2.5 months on a bus with them.
Okay.
We were like 22. It was just, I mean, amazing.
Yeah.
You know, like going to bed at like 5 a.m. every night. Nick Jet like DJing downstairs, waking up at like, 1 p.m., walking around a city and then sound check,
You guys were like a hijink band. You were making like little music videos and rap songs. You always had something going on.
It's true. Yeah. So that tour was fun. I mean, I'm bad with like the date. This is what I wish Brad was here because he would know every single tour and date time frame. But I mean, I think the Bane tour was that 2010.
That was 10. That was summer and fall of 2010.
Oh, dude, we did a full blown chaos reign supreme US tour. And
I was there.
2009. I think that
Yeah,
was.
Ruckus opened the Chain Reaction date.
Yep, I
Oh,
remember
wow.
that. That was like I'd say a real dark low point for the band in terms of just like tour vibe. Just like,
Really?
Really?
well, we had uh Jared had just joined for that tour, I believe,
Nice.
and Klippo was still in the band, and those two together is like total mayhem. Just like the lots of things happening on that tour, and
I believe that was the tour where Klippa said the famous quote of "I'm tired of having shit in my ass, yo."
I don't remember if it was that tour or not, but
I mean, that changed me as a person hearing that.
yeah, we had a couple things like that with him on the territory. I don't know if that, but
Understood.
that tour, I just remember, man, just like there'd just be a lot. It was January, first of all, so the U.S. tour in January. It was just like lots of criminal things happening, lots of like mischief at shows. Shows were not great. There was some weirdness with like the ordering of the band. Like it started off with Full Blown Chaos headlining, and then by the end we were headlining.
Oh.
So yeah,
Wow.
just weird time.
Brutal.
When was
Yeah.
the 10 for 10?
That was 2009, I think, or no, was that 10?
I think it was 9. I feel like
9.
I was still in high school, maybe.
That might have been the same summer as the Terror Euro tour.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but
To
Yeah,
this day,
it's
one
around then.
of the craziest ideas I've ever.
yeah.
Just how can that possibly be profitable for anything?
For 10 bands.
It was not.
Yeah.
We played a venue that in like Kentucky or something that was like a 3,500 cap venue, like a theater, and probably 200 people came. I mean,
3,500 people in Kentucky when it was at a 700 cap place in California is crazy.
Yeah, right.
yeah,
But even if it wasn't economically feasible, it created this like timeless memory for everybody that went to it and everybody that was on it.
yeah. For us, it was great,
Yeah,
but for them, it was probably a terrible mistake. But
that's fair. That's
Yeah.
very fair.
But
The
dude, that
Secret-
had Madball was on that tour.
It was
I think
a
Terror
great
was on that
tour. Yeah.
Oh, it was amazing.
Poison the Well was on part of it or something, right?
I think they were on the whole thing.
On the
I
whole
think
thing.
I think they headlined. Again, my memory's horrible with the stuff, but
Wow.
yeah. So it was that was right around that time frame, maybe the summer after. But
Thought so.
yeah,
Tell me about how it felt when the band was finally you, Justice, Jared, Brad, Brendan. Tell me about that dynamic finally locking in and feeling like, oh, okay, I think this is Trapped Under Ice.
it was the Europe tour, the one on the bus with Terror, because that was all 5 of us. It was actually that Ben was supposed to go and couldn't for work, so Brendan was kind of like filling in, and that tour was just so awesome. And we spent 2.5 months playing together every night, so it's kind of just like we locked in there. And
You're gonna get good.
Yeah.
yeah. And Brendan was still super young then. He was like, I think 19 on that tour. So
you found him. Were you guys aware of One Step Too Many?
oh yeah.
I'm sure. It's okay. Because God,
like-
what some bangers right there for sure.
I'm pretty sure I'm the first person from like our group of friends that kind of reached out to him and his friends because they were younger.
right.
Like I was 19 and he was 15,
Mhm.
I think. And we would go see One Step Too Many. Like we liked One Step Too Many,
Yeah, they
and, like,
ripped, dude.
our friends would go watch them. But yeah, he was like notably younger, especially at that time. And I remember like driving down from Baltimore to go skate with Brendan and his friends when they were still super young. But I remember thinking even back then, like, man, Brendan's just like, he's got something special, man. He's like a genius. Like, I don't know what it is, but
Dude, I was like peripherally obsessed with him as a friend early
Yeah.
on. Like hearing One Step Too Many, I was like, this guy's probably pretty cool. And then befriending
that's
him
what
on
I
that
said,
tour.
yeah.
There's something about him where there was like a magnetism there that was
Yeah.
just like, hey man, you should figure this out. You got there's something going on here.
I
This
did.
is
I-
good. This
we
is
were
good.
like, we've been basically like, I was really close friends with him since way back then, and like when he went to school in Baltimore, I'd drive and hang out at his dorm. Like we were writing together pretty early on. Like I pretty much as soon as we started hanging out, I was like, dude, I want to do a band with Brendan or do something with Brendan because he's so good, so talented.
And then there he was, and then the kind of the TUI as we know it was truly finally formed.
Yeah.
I wanna stick to Secrets of the World a little bit. Let's see a couple of these tracks. American Dreams, hard. TUI, I remember being a single.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're right. That was the first single.
It was first single.
Yeah, I remember that.
And just being like,
I remember looking at like message boards. We posted that while we were on tour. And I remember like looking at message boards to see like what people were saying. You know, it was like B9 board era.
Of course.
Yeah, I remember that.
Gemini obviously was from the split with Dirty Money, so we already knew that was a banger. Yep. And then, so I remember vividly asking at this time, I think I was at the show where Ruckus opened for TUI, was pulling Justice aside and being like, oh, first of all, meeting him was opening the bathroom to his dick out and him pissing and him saying, "That's my dick, man." But in that moment, right after he pissed, probably, was like, hey, why isn't Death Clock Ticking on Secrets of the World?
It was supposed to be. I don't know if you talked about that. It just we were not able to get it down the way we wanted in the studio. Damn. But that was meant to be on the record. So maybe
LP4, that one's finally
could be, on there. Could come back. That song is basically an unwritable song too. That's like, there's probably 15 distinct different riffs in that song.
There's a lot of transitions and stuff. Crazy. Pit is insane. Beautiful pit to pit. If you've not heard the Trap and Rise song Death Clock Ticking from the Dirty Money split, go do that now. Too True. This is a song I specifically want to talk about, Sam.
Let's talk about it.
Because you and I have had in-depth conversations about this privately 15 years ago that I'm sure neither of us fully remember. But this is when I learned about your songwriting philosophy with mosh parts. That you visualize the pit when putting the riff together. Specifically for this song. Tell me about Too True. Tell me about visualizing the pit when you're writing.
Too True, actually, funny enough, I think Klippa wrote some of the like the verse part. So that, I think that actually started with Klippa, but I remember being super stoked on like the rest of that song. That was definitely like a very I was getting into like 25 to Life. It was like kind of that time frame for me. So I would say that the end of that song's pretty 25 to Life influenced if you listen to it.
Yeah, the breakdown is like 25 to Life, All Out War merged together.
Yep. Yeah, I think with the visual, I forget what I told you about the visualizing thing, but I think that is true. It probably speaks more to the idea of like, we never wrote stuff just like, oh, here's a cool riff. You know, it's kind of like you're thinking about like how the total song comes together, but it's like that. And then also I would say we're always really mindful of like what the kind of energy of the song would be live and like just what it would be like live. Because you could write some super cool riff or whatever, and then live, it's just people are standing there looking at you. So I think like there is some tapping into like what would this be like live.
How will United Blood react to this? You know?
Right.
Yeah, but I remember being hyped on that. Like that's one of my favorite songs probably in general that TUI's done.
Mine too.
Especially the end of it. I love like
to this day
solo and the riff and stuff. But yeah, I think it was we're also active in the pit at that time. So it's, definitely thinking about it's easier to write when you are, when you're involved.
When you know what you would spin kick to, it's a good.
Yeah, and that's a very like spin kick specific riff.
100%. I've done it.
Yeah.
There were times on that tour on the like not good shows.
Yeah.
Where you would bust that out pretty much for me and Franz.
Yeah.
And dude, we were terrorizing.
I remember that. I actually remember
that. These poor Norwegians and Polish people were.
Please. No.
Dude, we were. Dude, there was the one in Norway where they tapped me on the shoulder and were like, "Please stop." The second half of Secrets of the World is much more like it's a journey.
Yeah. It's a dense record, man.
It's a dense 22-minute record, which is crazy to think about.
Yeah.
But dude, was the whole thing collaborative, writing wise?
I know that I wrote a lot for that record. Like that was an obsessive time where I was just like in my, apartment, just like laying down demos all the time. And it was for sure collaborative, but I do remember like for me, that was like a crazy writing time. And I do have a lot of like stuff on there that I wrote that maybe we didn't change a whole lot. I remember like I Hand was the first thing I wrote for that record. Like that's just like a million riffs into one, and like something I was psyched on. But yeah, I don't remember like getting together and practicing a whole lot for that one. I just remember like spending a lot of time writing, and like Justice would be over all the time. We'd be sitting there going through stuff.
And so part of this interruption, we got some important things to talk to you about. In this episode filled with information, facts, and tidbits about your health. One of the most important things you can start doing to take charge of your body is AG1.
Amen.
First thing we do every morning, empty stomach, 8 to 12 ounces, ice cold water, 1 scoop of AG1 has all the daily prebiotics, probiotics we need, has, more energy makes me feel more energized than a cup of coffee a lot of the time.
A lot of the time.
Without the upset stomach.
Oh, that's a good point. It really is true. I look forward to it. I try my best to never miss it. And if I ever do, I have packets of AG1 to take with me, which you can get 5 of by using the link down below. And
athleticgreens.com/hardlore, you will get 5 free travel packs. And hardcore is worldwide. There's now verified research studies that people that consistently use AG1 are more energized. So why wait? Get on the train, athleticgreens.com/hardlore. We've gotten testimonial after testimonial from people who listen to the show.
That's right.
Who start using it because of us, who give it a shot because of us. People who reach out and go, dude, that's crazy. You guys got Athletic Greens. I've been using it for years. Wow. Congrats. It's the best.
People who say, hey, does that stuff really work? And I said, give it a shot. You might be surprised. And sure enough.
It's beautiful. It's what your body's missing. We promise. Your body is also not missing stank. And there's only one way that we can personally recommend to get rid of that funky odor that you are carrying with you. And that is Manscaped.
God, is it ever. Oh.
The Crop Reviver, the Crop Preserver, the lawnmower, the hedge trimmer. They got everything you need to scape up and shape up.
The Weed Whacker, the cologne, the scalp scrubber, the body scrubber, the body wash. They got it all.
I use one of those once, twice, 3 times a day.
Very, very.
And thank God I can use code HardLore and get 20% off and free shipping.
Say that again.
Code HardLore, you get 20% off and free shipping. Site-wide with Manscaped. Okay, so just stop. Quit dicking around. Get it cleaned up. All right? Sam Trapkin would agree.
Yeah.
So let's get back to this episode.
Beautiful.
Let me ask you this, Sam. This is really important.
Okay.
When did your love for Dying Fetus start?
In the same like LimeWire era that I found Hatebreed, I found dang it, what's the name of the song? It's like the first track on Stop at Nothing.
Oh my God, yeah. Banger.
But there's a beatdown part halfway through that song that was like life changing. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, I knew of them back then, definitely saw them, but I didn't really get into them in the way that I am now until probably like mid TUI, 2010, 11.
Just realizing that you had another sacred band from Baltimore.
Pretty much.
Really makes everything make sense in context.
Yeah. So, I mean, they're probably more of like an influence for me now than they were back then, but yeah, I mean.
Are you working on anything now?
I've been talking about writing stuff with Justice, like literally just recently. It hasn't really been something like it's, we've moved a bunch the last few years. Work stuff's crazy. Obviously raising little kids is crazy. But yeah, I think things have kind of like settled down a little bit and we've been talking about it, but it takes time for us just because I'm busy, he's busy.
Yeah. I mean, I know how it is, but I also know people are dying for it. It's time.
I don't know. The voice memos are full on the phone. There's lots of memos.
Oh, good. Then you're writing.
But just vocally, not guitar, just like, beatbox. But
that's all.
That's good, dude. I mean, that counts.
For sure.
I like when the riff also has the little click with your tongue that's like the snare drum. Like,
Oh yeah,
that's when you know you're locked into a part.
Raw passion.
Yeah, I mean all the most TUI stuff I would say for us, at least for me, is always like voice note first, like beatbox. Because all the riffs, it's not like super melodic, it's more like rhythmically driven. So it's like I think the what makes a riff catchy is more like the rhythm than the notes, you know? So I would usually think of that stuff first, and then the notes are kind of like something that happened later. But yeah, that's for me. I always start with that.
Interesting philosophy. I haven't heard that before.
Yeah.
Sam, could you tell me about, do you recall an encounter with an art teacher at a hardcore show in Baltimore?
Oh man, yeah. That's embarrassing, man. I mean, that was that kind of summarizes the vibe of shows back then, to be honest. Like 15 people 15 people in a room, you know, and like someone gets hurt. Like that's kind of like what would happen back then. I will say though, actually, that show and that time, that was Brace Wars playing.
Oh.
And they had a song that was like, I forget what it is, but it was actually like that being at that show is what inspired the song Gemini by TUI. Because
really,
yeah, it's a similar thing, like where it kind of drops down and gets kind of like dun, 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 like that. They have a song that had something like that, and I remembered from that show.
Wow. See, it's all coming back. This art teacher, he had to be sacrificed.
I don't know if you've listened at all recently, Sam, but he does this thing where when we have a guest, he has his little birds out there just telling them dirt on everybody.
Oh, is that? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I heard you. So this is the thing that I also talked to this person who shared this about, is that,
who are you talking to?
I don't know. When these incidents occur, this is such a real thing. Think about the amount of times you've seen this happen, where a guy that's in trouble at the show takes his shirt off to escape.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a classic. Yeah.
I don't know.
Dude, that's a classic. Like, I remember
I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
Like,
and I gotta go.
He went that way. I don't know.
Dude, I remember that
good.
like in like being like seeing fights and stuff in Baltimore. Like you had to be fighting and everyone's shirts would just come off and people would just scramble.
That's
like,
how you know when trouble has begun.
That's how you blend in, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just
that you become invisible when the shirt comes off.
Just run down the street with your shirt off. Yeah.
Now, Sam, how many teeth do you suppose this art teacher had left?
I don't know actually what happened to him. I just remember it was it was unfortunate, but that was, whether it was me or someone else, pretty commonplace at the time, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Those shows.
Course.
Yeah.
Just think it's funny that it was an art teacher of all things.
I went to art school, so I didn't have any grudges, you know.
There you go. No,
it just
wasn't personal. It was just art.
Or
Really.
wouldn't have been personal.
No,
allegedly.
No. Exactly. Yeah. So let's go back. We're back. We're back to TUI. Hey, welcome back. This is around the time, this between Secrets of the World and Big Kiss Goodnight. We meet. We get familiar. I'm present throughout. I witnessed firsthand the development of Big Kiss Goodnight over about a year or so. Heard a lot of demos, kind of watched the demos evolve into the record, and that might be like the most anticipated piece of music of my hardcore lifetime, I would say. And my God, it delivered. Tell me about this time in the band, 2010, 2011. Tell me about putting this record together, because I can tell you what I remember is, as soon as it was done, you guys felt like the band was over. And like I remember you playing Rainfest, having this unbelievable headlining set, and I was like, that was amazing. And your response was, good way to go out.
Why did we say that? Was because the record was good, or because of something else? I don't remember.
No, you liked the record. I think you were just over touring and the grind.
Yeah, I can't remember like what we were feeling then, but I do remember when we finished Big Kiss Goodnight, literally driving away from the studio with Chad Gilbert, who produced it, and listening to like the raw demos in his car, and I was just like, I don't know if people are gonna, you know, like it's kind of like a
Wow.
we'll see what people think about this type of deal.
That's
And
so
then
crazy.
we know how it is because you don't know what's going to be like a single or what people are going to like or whatever.
Yeah.
Like I think like Pleased to Meet You was kind of like it wasn't going to be the single or like a single at all. It was kind of like weren't super excited about it at first type of like it was kind of just like you don't know what's going to happen yet.
Well, that song, that was that was like a produced song. That was a song where Chad had a lot of input, I remember.
I don't know.
Because
I mean,
you like had the mosh part written somewhere else.
Oh.
yeah.
And the song was much slower. And that was one thing where he was like, increase the tempo, put this mosh part here.
I don't know
Or that
about
was an
that.
actual.
I think you can listen back to the demos we had before working with Chad. Like a lot of the songs and the structure was like close.
Hmm.
I can actually send you something we did before, like Born to Die pre Chad, and like it's just like some parts were longer and we shortened them or moved some things.
Interesting.
Pleased to Meet You didn't have I think it was the chorus before we worked with him. Like I think it was more of just like a driving like da 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 da, and the chorus was over that or was supposed to be. But I don't think that Justice had like lyrics for it yet. Like it came together kind of later on for sure.
Okay.
But and I actually remember him not loving that song at first either. Like I think I had that early on, and he was kind of like, I don't know, kind of.
And isn't that like top song now?
Yeah, for
Like
sure.
across the board? It's crazy.
But that was what was different about that record is again, like I was so I started that band Diamond, which became Diamond Youth around 2009, 2010. So I was now writing a completely different style of music too. Like I was writing like these like, you know, pop rock songs and getting super into that. Just like really having fun writing a different genre and learning about that. And I'd never written anything melodic before. So like my world was expanding there. And then Justice started, Angel Dust around then, like Brennan started Turnstile around then. So it was kind of like we were all dipping our toes into other stuff and
Sure.
for the best because it was kind of like I wrote like the stuff we were writing for Big Kiss Goodnight, I was writing at the exact same time as a Diamond record. It was literally like I would come home from work on some TUI songs one night and then next night work on some Diamond songs.
And I can tell you firsthand, I know that like it's really hard to separate the two once that starts.
Right.
Like there's a certain amount of melody you like can't undo that. Once you start writing with melody as the like intention, you really can't get rid of it. But that's not. I don't think that's a thing that negatively impacted Big Kiss Goodnight. Just as a fan, I do remember distinctly, not knowing like the inner turmoil in the band over whether to call the record Big Kiss Goodnight or Born to Die.
Oh yeah.
And then Lana Del Rey's Born to Die answering that question for you. Because it was the same time.
Yeah, was it? It must have been
Same time.
right.
It's pretty cool.
I'm always I'm usually an advocate for Justice's like more extreme ideas, and I think Big Kiss Goodnight was kind of like a weirder title.
Yeah, for sure.
Born to Die is a little more up the middle, you know. So I was like,
Yeah.
Born to Die is basically Born to Expire. You're not. It's a synonym.
Right. And then
you know what I mean.
Right.
Lana Del Rey did Born to Die.
She did it at the same time, and the choice was clear.
Yeah, so I think that was the right choice. But yeah, I'm trying to think what else. I mean, we were just way more into demoing then, and like spending again like obsessive songwriting, like literally for me a year or two of just like my schedule was I'd work 9 to 5, go get Chipotle after work, get Starbucks. And then like day number 2 started and I would just write for like 6 hours, you know, and like demo stuff. And Justice would be over like, you know, multiple times a week and we'd be laying stuff down. He'd want to demo stuff on my computer and he'd record his ideas and we'd like work on stuff together. So yeah, that was pretty intense writing process. And then obviously working with Chad, I think made it better, you know, like just spending an extra like week or two just in pre-production, just going through the songs and like being like, you know, this could be better. Like we should shorten this or add this. And he was awesome to work with for that. So yeah.
It's so funny how obviously we're talking about how the beginning of the band was very like lightning in a bottle, just had it, you know, and like didn't need to do pre-production, didn't need to have the process laid down in that way. Didn't even know who was going to sing on the demo until right before, right? But then when you are a band that has time and some momentum in your writing stuff and you're putting stuff aside, how effective pre-production and a third party can really be when it comes to creating the thing that you want. And it's so helpful to have somebody be like, do that again. Or I don't save that maybe, you know, like just little things, even as simple as that, how huge and effective that could be. I remember hearing that you guys were working with him and being like, wow, a producer in like, in this genre, like how?
Because he had just done Keepers of the Faith as well.
Just done Terror, yeah.
Right. And that was, I mean, that was a rebirth for them.
100%.
That was a good move for you guys.
It was literally,
clearly did a great job.
Night and day experience from Secrets of the World and Stay Cold. It was like, we recorded in Orange County. We were like
the homie Paul Miner. We were happy to be there. Like it was summertime or springtime or something like that. I think it was warm out. And then Chad was fun to work with. Like we're just having fun, you know, like Secrets of the World and Stay Cold were like some of the darkest like experiences of my life overall. Just like, I don't think that I laughed or smiled the entire time I recorded those records. And Big Kiss Goodnight, you were having a blast.
We're all having a blast. We were like sleeping over at the studio, like sleeping bags on the floor, like waking up having coffee and stuff. Like so much fun, dude. Secrets of the World and Stay Cold was like so dark. Like it was in Queens, New York in like January both times or December or something. Like I don't remember talking to each other in the studio. It was just like dead silent the whole time. Dean Baltimore recorded us, who does not talk a lot, not a super bubbly guy. So it was just like, I remember just tracking, just like my head, just looking at the floor, just like waiting for my turn. It was just like the darkest experience.
Okay, well, I'm glad that changed.
I think you can hopefully tell like the record I think is better because of that.
Yeah, I would say that's like objective. Even just listening to it, it's like this is TUI.
Yeah.
This is a timeless hardcore classic. I do think Secrets of the World is too. So it's I don't want to minimize that those sickening thoughts.
Yeah.
That plagued your brain during Secrets of the World. They helped.
Yeah.
It's inspired.
I wouldn't do it again, but it probably helped. We were staying at Reggie's house on a literal hardwood floor, like sleeping bag on hardwood floor. Like, getting ripped off at like the coffee shop down the corner. Like,
hell yeah.
Jared and Justice were eating off a dollar menu like once a day, every day. That was it. Like it was it was a good time.
TUI at this point is like your crossover to you haven't like changed anything about yourselves. You've evolved in all the right ways, but like people outside of hardcore are noticing TUI now and like love TUI. I know, like, I remember like somebody from Seven Dust was to you like, yo, I love TUI.
Oh, so cool. I love Seven Dust, man.
Yeah. Are there any TUI heads out there who have like shocked you? Or somebody you're just shocked to learn loves TUI?
Yeah, it happens all the time, especially now. Now, like modern day, like Travis Barker like wears our shirts.
Yeah, right.
I'm like, that's cool. Like like
That'll
weird.
do.
But yeah, like there's, you know, like I don't know, man, like random people like that, or like, you know, there's a bunch of like there are a couple comedians now that like are into hardcore that will like wear TUI gear.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Who are awesome, by the way. But like, yeah, stuff like that didn't happen as much back then. I don't remember, you know, like, and I just don't think that hardcore had really like gone as kind of like mainstream back then anyways. So
not at all.
Like when we would tour with Every Time I Die or like 4 Years Strong, like that back then was like insane, you know? And like the fact that someone in 4 Years Strong likes our band was like, oh my God, like what do they like about this? You know, like, like that was extreme back then. So I think it's like, it's gotten bigger since then. I think just the hardcore's reach. So we didn't have like, there's no Travis Barkers wearing TUI shirts back in the day, you know, or like.
There's somebody in Northern Idaho right now that you probably interact with in some way once a week. You know, the guy, the grocery bag guy at the store, probably a big TUI head, has no idea, you know?
I have met a few people out here that literally, like, I did meet a dude that was bagging groceries one time, and like that's happened a few times where like we're talking about music stuff and we'll talk about that and they're like really confused. like bewildered.
Sam, do you
Welcome.
remember in the fall of 2011, November 15th to be exact,
The Ides of November.
the Ides of November in it was either Lubbock or Midland, Texas. We were on a tour, you were on a tour. It was on Big Kiss Goodnight.
Yeah.
And it combined, and it was
Combined.
Terror, TUI, Backtrack, Harm's Way.
Yeah.
I have it up in the other room. I think Stray played, and maybe two more bands. It was just like a banger of a show.
Yeah.
Was it Betrayal?
Yeah, it was Betrayal.
Oh yeah, Betrayal, yeah.
It was Betrayal.
Wasn't it something weird where it was like the second tour package was like way after or something like that? Or I forget. It was like something was weird about the timing of it, but I do remember that.
It was really odd. It was a show that could have been a fest somewhere.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
That maybe 40 people paid to go to.
Yeah. I remember that aspect of it. And
I just remember it being cool. We took a picture of the whole, like the entire show, and we like smashed a table after everyone fell on it afterwards. But I remember the reason I bring it up is because I remember this time being like, I remember feeling like, oh, there's Trapped Under Ice, and like Godspeed, guys, like they're going to the moon, you know. I just remember the
That's
feeling
funny.
at the time being that TUI was on to be what at the time seemed unimaginable, now seems very feasible for a band to explode and, you know, have Travis Barker wearing their t-shirts.
That's funny. Yeah. Well, you guys remember it was kind of, it was just different then. Like that tour, like the Big Kiss Goodnight tour that we did.
Yeah.
It's like 150, 200 people at the shows most of the time. And it's like, that was basically as big as possible in the US, you know, it was like
100%.
300 kids in like big cities, you know, so that was like the peak back then for us, you know, and it's definitely gotten bigger since then, you know, so it's way different.
It's so wild to think about how much it's changed since then.
But I do think, I mean, TUI as a band is such a big part of that growth, and this record is such a big part of that growth that it needs to be, we need to stamp that in the, in the history books.
That's like
I do think that touring with bands like 4 Year Strong, or every time like we were doing stuff like that when I don't think a lot of other people were doing it, and that was like crazy back then. But you know, like I do think that we got our style of hardcore, whatever you want to call it, kind of in front of more people because we were down to play whatever, you know, and we were also like in melodic bands and thought that was cool, and we'd play like mixed bill shows all the time, like so. Yeah, I do remember like being younger. It's like you'd never have shows like that. It would just be like all beat down bands, you know, like exclusively.
Speaking of which, do you remember a conversation we had in probably in Switzerland or something, where you asked me, would you rather the opening band be a good melodic hardcore band or a shitty beatdown band?
I remember discussing this at length with Nick Jett on the Territory, and I was always in favor of the shitty beatdown band.
Shitty beatdown band all day.
Every day,
single time. Hands down.
I live like the music in my head 95% of the time is just like shitty beatdown music.
It's just
like,
Paul muted.
Yeah. Cause like I have ideas that way, but it's like most of the time it's just like a mid 2000s like Pennsylvania beatdown band with like China Symbol. Like that's like what's playing in my head.
Beautiful.
So,
that's what gets you through the day.
Yeah, even at like literally at this point of life, I don't listen to that anymore. It's just like it's still in my head all the time.
You don't have to.
Yeah.
Yeah, something
it lives within.
It lives within, yeah.
Beautiful. No, I'm with you every time. Shitty beatdown band all the way. So 2009 really TUI's existence and Jared killed melodic hardcore. It was dead and gone.
Have you heard the story about like the Have Heart tour that we did with them and like me snoring?
No,
but as a fellow snorer, I'd love to hear.
This is like a mythical, like I don't know how true this is. Kei Yasui, who I work with and like I'm good friends with,
King.
Told us, he's the man. He told the story, which basically it was like we were touring with Have Heart and Polar Bear Club. Good example of like a weird tour.
Yeah.
And what was it? It was like leading up to United Blood 2009, I think. It was something like that.
Yep.
Where they had played a crazy United Blood the year before, like they headlined or something, had a crazy set, and then we were leading up to 2009 United Blood. I'm probably getting the years wrong, but close enough. And
I mean, that was the year you headlined Sound and Fury, so like timeline wise, that sounds right.
2009 TUI headlined the first night of United Blood. I remember it vividly because of how scary it was.
I could be messing this up, but like, long story short, there was a night on that tour where, dude, we stayed, we were playing like Albany area, and there's this dude from there named, I think his name was Dan. Do you remember him? Kind of like a bigger dude.
Dan, Asylum Dan?
I don't know.
I think he is like one of the bookers there.
Yeah, bookers had glasses, kind of bigger dude.
Okay.
He let us stay. This is like a winter tour. Let us stay in his like t-shirt printing shop, which I'll never forget. The name of the shop was Schenectady's.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
clever.
It's genius.
It's clever.
Genius.
Yeah.
Schenectady's was basically like a warehouse with like hard carpet floor. Like it's like there's basically no carpet.
Yeah.
Right.
And I don't think any like thermostat. It was just like the same temperature as outside, inside. And we stayed there with Have Heart. And for some reason, like
good sleeping, to be honest.
Dude, it was crazy. And I think we like were locked in there or something. Like we couldn't get out.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Yeah. So for some reason, not everyone had sleeping stuff, like sleeping bags.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So most of us were just sleeping bag on like the hard floor. And then some people in Have Heart were like sleeping in like bass drum cases and stuff like that, like to stay warm. And whatever, something happened where basically I was sleeping next to Pat from Have Heart, and I was snoring, which I used to do. I maybe still do. I can't confirm that, but
we'll never know.
This is a heavy snoring era, and I'm snoring. And apparently Pat was up all night because of me snoring, and he's like cold, like sleeping in a bass drum case or something, and he like gets ill. Like gets like violently ill, like sick, like his body collapses because of exhaustion and like being up all night in this cold room. And that was like the tipping point, Kay says, of like this like thing where like Pat was sick and then like messed up their tour and messed up like United Blood. Like something happened as a chain of events that was domino. Like it led to like the collapse of Have Heart in that era.
You snoring killed Have Heart?
According to Kay, that's what he said later.
Oh my God, that's HardLore, man.
Yeah, some people are worried about ruining, relationships and other things with their snoring. You changed the whole...
I've slept next to you numerous times. It was fine.
Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe it was just a rough time for me, and I was snoring a lot or eating too many Meteorix bars. But
it was the damn Meteorix bars again, man.
Yeah, but that was a notable, I think, like moment for them and us as we were, because they had a crazy United Blood, and I think the next year we had a crazy one. It was
You sabotaged them.
Which I have no, like, I love them and all that, but like for me, when we started TUI, like I like explicitly did not want to be a melodic hardcore band and did not like. I'm not really lumping them in with that, but like bands that were popular,
they're still a hard band.
Yeah, they get the pass.
Yeah, like
they get the pass.
Not lumping them in, but I'm just saying like I got into hardcore because of like metallic stuff and heavier stuff, so I did not understand bands like Champion or Verse. So I was just like, why would you like this? Like this doesn't have any of the good things of hardcore music, which for me like was like Biohazard, State of the World Dress. So
which I guess, but like that's the difference is Have Heart does. They do,
yeah.
Hard.
Yeah, they got some State of the World. They address the world in many ways. So Big Kiss Goodnight, as we've said, this thing took over the world. It was a phenomenon, and your response to it was, we got all these other things going on. We did this. Let's take a hiatus.
Yeah.
To be fair, we did, I think, toured a lot.
Toured for 2 years, but instead of doing the immediate follow-up record, you decided to take a break to do all your other stuff. Because you have Turnstile. Yeah, it makes sense. There's a lot going on. Tell me about that decision and how that affected you guys.
What year would that have been, too, Sam?
2013. Yeah.
13. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, that was just like a fork in the road for us where we kind of decided like, okay, because back then the only kind of like whatever, like the roadmap for what you could become, it was just like, okay, either we're going to keep touring full time and just do that for a living, I guess, or like not do that because it doesn't seem like we didn't it didn't seem fun to us to do that. It didn't feel like what we wanted to do. So everyone was having fun, like doing other bands. And like I moved to LA that year, and I think we were kind of just like, hey, we just don't really feel like doing that, like touring all the time. Like, let's not do it for a while. It was pretty amicable, like lightweight decision.
Yeah.
It just like didn't feel like what we wanted to do, or it would have felt like forced to be like, oh, let's just keep touring and keep writing and like go for it, Which
and that's when it's time to stop, is when the passion's gone, even however brief it is.
Yeah, so that's all that was. It was the right move for sure.
I mean, the hiatus wasn't very long, luckily.
Yeah. And
I think it was
in
maybe
retrospect,
2
it's
years.
not. Back then, it seemed like forever. But yeah.
Yes. And that was the scary thing is while we're kind of used to bands taking hiatuses and coming back,
right?
Like even if a band even if it's not a hiatus, if we're breaking up, you're still gonna you're gonna see those motherfuckers like 5 years later. At the time, that wasn't necessarily the case.
No. Yeah. No. Yeah,
but
that was not.
It's different now that every band had to stop playing for 2 years,
right?
For the same reason.
Right.
For 2 years is like, okay, I'll take it. That's fine.
Yeah.
Tell me about the decision to break the hiatus very quickly after, and how that response was upon coming back.
It was the same criteria. It was like, oh, we want to do this now. This sounds fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's literally all it was, I think.
That's exactly what it should be. It should just sound fun, because you're, at the end of the day, you're doing this with guys you've had relationships with for years.
We were burnt out, dude. Like I remember just being kind of over touring in 2013, and it just wasn't fun. It didn't seem fun to keep doing that. So as soon as it seemed fun again and seemed like something we'd all wanted to do, it was just, that's the only reason. Same until today. You know what I mean? Like we still play a couple shows a year. Like we'll get offer stuff and be like, oh, that sounds fun. That sounds cool. Like
that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
And now that's an option. That wasn't an option 10 years ago.
No, we talk about it all the time, but now you can be that band, and it makes sense in all the facets that need to make sense for a band.
That did not exist, dude. It was like either you're broken up or you're doing 2.5 month tours. Like there's nothing in between.
You can now only play to who really needs you, which is nice.
I think Turnstile was at least a contributor to that, because they've always, like, ever since they started, by force or by choice, because we were touring or whatever, like they would only do these like quick runs, and they basically only ever did quick runs until, like a little bit later on.
Well, every single one of those quick runs was sold the fuck out and was amazing.
Yeah, but like back when they started, it was like conventional wisdom that you couldn't do a real band like that. It was like, oh, it's a side project.
Yeah, true.
But I think they resisted touring like the US until I don't know how many years ago, but it was like, the
2013 it was with Twitching Tongues. That was their first like actual tour.
Yeah. So
and I can tell you they did good.
Yeah. Yep.
They did good. Heatwave comes up right after this kind of hiatus. So I remember you guys initially coming back, and I'm not going to take full credit for this. Okay. I won't take full credit for it, but I do remember a conversation with Justice where he said, we're going to do a 7-inch to come back. And I said, no, you should do an LP. And he said, well, maybe we'll do an LP. And then you did an LP about 6 months later.
That's awesome.
So no full credit, but partial.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
You deserve it.
Thanks, man. Tell me about Heatwave.
Heatwave was fun. That was more of like just like hang out and have fun and write songs type of deal. Like I remember doing a couple sessions with like Brendan and Justice and just kind of jamming. And I think like Brendan wrote for that, Justice wrote for that. Like it was kind of just a fun record to put together. And same with other TUI records. It was kind of just like what we felt like writing at the time. So there was never any thought of like, what would like the next TUI full length sound like? It was
aside from No Relief, which was cut from Big Kiss Goodnight, correct?
Right.
Not from Big Kiss Goodnight, I don't think. Well, I don't remember. It is an older song.
It had to have been, because I remember when it was written.
I mean,
because I remember the band and Franz mouthing the riff together and being obsessed with it. And that was after Secrets of the World.
I think that I remember writing that with Brendan, like in his dorm room. Like that was a long time ago. Wow. But that was that record was just like whatever we were excited to put out and write at the time, so that was my memory of that one.
11 songs, 13 minutes was the vibe at the time.
Yeah. Yeah. That was the vibe. And that was kind of like going back to what, especially like Justice and Brendan were, like they're obviously very active with Angel Dust and Turnstile then. They were writing a lot of music then. That was where, their head was at for sure. It was like, let's come in. Big Kiss Goodnight was like pretty like, each song had like multiple choruses.
Very dense.
Pretty produced in air quotes, but you know what I mean, for a hardcore record. And then I think it was kind of like let's kind of do the opposite of that, and just do fast, high energy songs. And purposely, like, we didn't have any like, we didn't have like Chad or someone helping. We recorded with Arthur and just busted it out, dude. And it was a super fun record to record.
Yeah, and I think, 7 years later, 7 years has given it a lot of context.
Yeah.
And the time to grow and like as it exists within the TUI discography. And it does it really works as like a representation of who the band was in that era.
Totally.
Which leads me to wonder who you are now.
Yeah. I think it'd be way different, honestly.
Oh, interesting.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Times have changed, like
you got Fetus in your veins. Justice, I know he's got stuff to say that he can't say in any other band. I think it's time.
It could be time.
Wow.
We've kicked around the idea. I think if we were to do it again, I definitely want to do it like find a way to spend a lot of time writing on it type of deal.
Yeah.
Just because, at least personally, that's what I'm most comfortable with. And
it seems like it. Yeah. Even listening to the story is like that's your writing method.
Yep. And just getting to spend a lot of time sitting down and working on stuff alone with Justice, with like whatever. Like I think that would have to be achievable. I wouldn't want to like phone it in if we were going to do something else, because
you can't.
No reason to. Yeah.
Well, that's the most reassuring thing too, as like a fan of your band, is knowing that you guys, there's no pressure to do something when you're not ready to do it.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's like having faith as a fan that like when it's time, and what we get as a listener is exactly what they want to deliver. And that's the best position to be in as like a fan of any particular band,
That's cool. Yeah. Yeah.
When writing, do you ever get stuck on a riff or a song where you've got a part is good, but you've got 15 different ways you want to do it? How do you decide which way is the correct way? And then how do you not regret it for the rest of your life?
I think at least what happens for me is I'll usually kind of get the ideas out that I have for a song, and I'll usually get stuck to where I can't keep going by myself. Like I've never been good at just like writing end to end and just, hey, it's done. So that's where
it sucks to do.
Yeah, like that's where writing with like Justice or Brendan or Justin, who was in Diamond, like it's kind of like you go as far as you can, then hopefully someone else. And by the way, I've written things that I thought were awesome and then like shared them with Justice, and he's just kind of like, it's cool, but I can't really like figure out anything with this like vocally, and it's kind of just over, So I think there has to be like here's like an idea, and then the person receives it and kind of like, if you can, because that's, like they'll show me something and they'll be stuck and I'll be like, oh, like this is awesome, you can do this or that.
Yeah, right.
And same vice versa, right? So that's usually for me. I'll have like the thing I'm really excited about that's kind of like the seed of a song, but then it's usually like 50%, and the main vibe is there, but then like figuring out how to finish it or whatever that's usually like another person, at least for me.
That's fair. I mean, you guys are living proof that like collaboration is the key to creation.
Yeah, I mean, yes and no. Like I think some bands think that you have to like sit in a room together, like, and just jam to figure stuff out. Like I I don't agree with that. Like I think that's hard because it becomes kind of like decision by committee, and I think there is something beautiful. I think every band, every good band has this where there's somebody that's like back there obsessing about something, and
you gotta have a Josta.
Yeah. Gotta have a Josta.
You gotta have a Josta.
Brendan's like that for Turnstile. Like Justice is like that for Angel Dust. Nick's like that for Terror. you know, like name your band, like there's like someone who's like obsessing, and they're not just sitting there.
Every
like
successful band has a Josta.
That's a good
and
quote,
that's a fact.
That's a fact. Yeah. I mean, dude. But that's also, by the way, like Josta is like one of the biggest influences for me, for sure. Like,
of course.
I remember being with someone that had toured with him early on and then being like, dude, Josta took it so seriously. Like he like roll up to shows with like a briefcase, you know, and like just like
Really?
like took the band so serious. And that was, if you like toured with us early on, you know how much of a joke it was. It was like, you know, we were showing up late, you know, we'd show up like at our set time, you know, or after, like have no gear, like be messing up songs, like tuning on stage and like.
Dude, I don't think hardcore bands abided by load in until like 3 years ago.
Well, dude, we didn't, but then we were like, Nick actually like had like an intervention with us. He was like, he like sat me down. I remember it was in Oklahoma at like the venue there. They still have it in Tulsa. And he's like, dude, what are you guys doing? Because we were on our first US tour, just pulling up like right before our set time, like a complete train wreck. He's like, you guys can't do that. Like you need to be here at load in. You need to like leave at the appropriate time. You need to like plan the day. I was like, oh, that's crazy. Like, so you like figure out when you're leaving like the night before? Like that's that's insane, dude.
Terror is literally the reason, that tour was literally the reason we started abiding by loading times and doing the hotel routine, like everything that we still do to this day. It was because we learned it from ostensibly from Nick.
I never did a full US tour with Terror, so I guess I missed out on I was too late, but I had to figure it out other ways. I think I needed Terror.
Yeah,
needed Terror.
That was a turning point for us. But yeah, dude, like Josta, like beyond that stuff, just like I think the attention to just like making really good songs, like you can hear that pretty much the whole catalog, especially like Perseverance, Rise of Brutality, just like the structure of the songs and just how like memorable they were. And oh man,
I think the time that this episode comes out, I think our first show on the Hatebreed tour is tomorrow. I think if I'm doing that correctly, and I'm very excited. That's James
awesome.
and I were talking about it last night. I think it's with Hatebreed and Carcass. I think it's the first bigger tour we've ever done where we're like gonna watch the tour every night.
Every night.
Where it's
and
like
you're
an
not.
exciting thing.
Are you? And you're not one of four.
We're 2 of 4. Perfect. Yeah. Like right where I want to be.
The dream.
But yeah, so obviously I'm sure it's going to be different than the early days of Josta rolling up with a briefcase because he's got people to hold his briefcases now.
That's true.
But
I don't know if that's true or not, but that was what I heard.
You could bring the briefcase now, Bo.
I could definitely be briefcaseman. I'll handcuff it.
Briefcase Bo.
I'll have the numbers. But I'm excited to see how they function. Colin, you've toured with them a couple times, but I'm excited to see.
You'll just see Frank will be there anytime you want to talk about Blue Oyster Cult and Kiss.
Sick.
And Matt Byrne will be warming up on a drum pad absolutely all night. BD is he's a specter. He'll be in and out, you know.
Yeah.
And then Josta will like boop, 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 emerge. He'll vaporize in as they're starting.
Perfect.
And what I want you to really pay attention to, Bo, is the set lists.
Oh, dude, I already have thought about how I can't wait to see what they do.
Because they're never planned, they're never written. There's just cues that they all know. You got to learn the cues and teach me the cues.
That's so crazy.
So crazy.
But yeah, I'm excited to finally see how a band like that functions today because it can still be influential. You know, it could still be like, hey, that's a really good idea. Why are we not doing that?
Now, Sam, now that TUI is almost 20 years old at this point. Do you look at TUI as what defines your legacy as an artist?
I mean, definitely a defining thing for sure. Spent so much time, and it's been cool to see like how people still care, and it's still like newer bands still check it out, and people still know us, and our shows are still pretty crazy. I'm also super proud of like the stuff we did with Diamond and like what I've done other areas of life. So I'm not like clinging to my TUI legacy per se.
I wouldn't say it's clinging, but it's just, do you, I hope, I should say, I hope that you take pride in the work that you have done and the mark you have made with TUI.
Thanks, man. Yeah, for sure. I take pride in the fact that I think like, I hope at least that we opened up the door for people to do things that were more like authentic, because I think in retrospect, if you look at everything that happened, obviously us doing the band the way we did when we did it was like a very weird move, but that was like true to us and what we wanted to do. And if you look at like Angel Dust or Diamond or Turnstile, like those are all bands that were like unusual things to do at the time, but it was like what the person really wanted to do and just like didn't have any fear about doing it. And that now is normal. Like now, like hardcore, like it's not weird to listen to like Turnstile and Hatebreed back to back or whatever.
Yeah.
Whereas like early on for me, it's like if you weren't wearing like gym shorts and like a jersey and like spin kicking to whatever, like beatdown band, like, it's kind of like
we weren't the same.
Yeah, it's unacceptable, So I think legacy wise, I hope that is the case a little bit, where I think we were able to help kind of like open the door to like people doing stuff that was more unique to them. Because that to me, like if you look at like the people in TUI and like the bands they're in, like it's because they're such unique people. Like if you think of like Justice, who we've already covered, who's like, just
an enigma wrapped in a mystery.
Enigma, yeah, like he should be studied in a lab. He's like an absolute enigma. Brendan just told, like everyone in TUI is so unique and different and has their own talents and stuff.
Brad,
so
the king, and then Jared, the fucking
dude,
Iron Man.
Yeah.
Yeah. All so different, dude. Like, you know how like some bands would pull up and they all look the same and they're all like dressed the same and they all act the same and they're like kind of sticking to the band script. Like TUI is the opposite of that. Everyone is completely different, dresses different, thinks different.
We call that the bus stop band. We used to say that about Harm's Way when Saba was in the band in particular, is when we kind of it's like those are just five guys waiting at a bus stop. Like you would know they're in a band. I really like that. But to Colin's point, like there's no derogatory sense in like the defining, like TUI's body of work defining you, because a lot of what that is, and kind of to what you're talking about with making it or showing that it's okay to do other things, is like there was also very much a ceiling, and TUI is a band that like smashed through a ceiling.
Broke it.
So there's no like, it's not derogatory at all to be like, oh yeah, one of the defining things of my life is like being involved in this band that influenced generations after.
Yeah,
right, yeah.
Because hardcore generations are different than human generations.
Very much. It's like every 4 years.
And TUI has been at the top for about 5-6 generations now. So it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Let's get into some of our kind of standard HardLore stuff here. First and foremost being that it is now officially fall. And that the weather is getting cool and crisp and the ghouls and the goblins are out. Do you, Sam, believe in ghosts?
I don't know, man. That's kind of like, how serious are we talking right now? I feel like I could kind of go down a rabbit hole on this.
I want the rabbit in the hole.
My openness to like spirituality and things existing beyond what you can see has increased in the last several years.
Because of kids? Is it because of kids?
I think that's a part of it.
Yeah, you hear that. You hear that.
Yeah, I think like you kind of just start to figure out that everything can't be explained by this like really small set of like rules and like, physically what we can see and control. So I'm more open to that. I don't think about like ghosts, like Halloween ghosts, but I think like,
oh, see, I like those. All
right. So I'm talking more broadly, like the idea of there being like spirits or something that's like intangible. I'm open to that. I'm happy to have that conversation. Yeah.
Have you ever had an experience yourself?
Not really, man. There's been times in my life where I look back, I'm like, something happened there. Like I've had moments where like there had to be some divine thing happening where like my wife and I were stuck in the desert one time because we got separated from someone, and like we're crossing this insane cliff where we for sure were about to die. Like we were like last ditch. Hey, we're gonna die in like a few hours if we don't get out of here. And
like you genuinely thought that?
It's a fact, dude. Like we were in the desert for like 24 hours with no water.
Which desert?
In Utah. It was outside of Moab.
Whoa.
And so
Holy shit.
we were with another girl that was like delusional. Like she was like so dehydrated that she was like falling off. Like she was done basically. And then me and Raquel were like, all right, let's try to climb up this cliff and get out of here. And then we were like climbing off this cliff and like rocks were like falling down, like, and it's like 100-foot drop. And then like as we're crossing it, we hear a whistle blow and it's the park's rescue people. And like the fact that they were there right at that moment, we found out later that like people die every year trying to cross where we were crossing. Like they try to like they get stuck and try to get out and people get hurt or die. So it's like
holy shit.
Stuff like that's happened where I'm just like, dude, like that it couldn't have just been luck, man.
Were they blowing the whistle because they were like, get down from there, or were they looking for you?
They were looking for us. Like they were like blowing the whistle to see if like they heard us say anything back. So they had been looking for hours, and it just so happened
God damn.
and the other girl was like trapped in this place where she would have like it was bad, dude. But it was just
so
like
she got out too?
She got out, yeah.
Delusional girl?
It was insane, man.
Holy shit.
Wow.
Are we in the this is a good rabbit hole, right? Like this is
I'm in. I mean, because I know. I mean, Justice and Brendan were pretty, you know, like outly spiritual guys at the beginning there. So that's interesting to hear.
Have you ever had a moment, Colin, where you were like, I really shouldn't have done that? That was really like similar to Sam's story. It's like that was really dangerous. That could have been.
Like I'm glad that worked out. Like it's crazy that worked out.
I've seen this happen to Colin one time, but I'll wait until Colin answers.
Oh my God, you really have, man.
Please.
That was in Budapest. In Budapest, I think I've told this on here before that I was leaning against the Sprinter door I was sitting on a railing.
A railing that was like neck high. It was like a massive railing.
It was very tall. So I was basically leaning against the top of the Sprinter.
Yeah.
And somebody opens it. I won't say who. Leaves it open. I think it was sabotage. And I go to lean back again. And I go head first into the pavement.
And dude, it was like the gutter with the curb. It was like something off of like Faces of Death or something.
It could not have been more brutally violent.
It was like the worst possible. Like you saw it happening. It's like, you know, van wall is here, railings here, and there's just a curb in the street, and his like head just goes down between head first into the curb and like the street. It was horrible.
What happened?
I lost many brain cells that day.
I thought they're
still gone.
I like genuinely think I was maybe a little smarter before then.
Wow.
That was horrific. I kind of played dead for a second because I was like, am I dead?
Dude,
I think I'm dead.
He landed like the back of his head landed like on the curb, and then his like body folded over his head. It looked like he was dead. Like it looked
there was a crowd of like 8 people on the tour that thought I was dead for a second.
Holy, was this like one of the first tours? Like
this was my first European tour.
You were young Colin. Yeah,
I was just a lad.
This is when I was seeing at Colin Young tagged all over every venue.
Correct.
I remember
that moment was really funny because Justice gave me the marker and was like, "I need you to write something, and I need it to be good."
After you fell.
No. Just on that tour, he imparted the wisdom of me, like you need to write your name because you're going to come back and people are going to see it.
Yeah.
And in that moment, I didn't know what to do, so I just put my at. And he looked at me and he said, "You really came through, man."
I have I've talked about it, I'm sure, but somewhere I have a big flyer from when we went shortly after your tour there, like the Rise and Fall Nails Harm's Way tour, and on it you wrote "Taylor is a bitch" because your brother was going to be on the tour with us. I took it. I have it.
It was like a month later.
Yeah. I went hiking one time in Colorado, and we hiked up Arapahoe to the top of this glacier, and I was like, I want to go touch that ice. That just seems cool. Like I want to touch and I like went down this like really loose rocky thing into a crevasse, and I was like, I touched it, and I was like, I should get the hell out of here. Like this is really like I was immediately like, if anything happens, I'm fucked.
Oh, yeah.
This is the dumbest thing I've done in my adult life. And like I very carefully like slowly got after, and like I've had dreams about falling into a fucking crevice because of that.
Damn.
You think something like spiritual came into you at that
I
point?
don't.
Was like,
I
get out
think
of
it
here.
was. I think it was my like a natural sense of like survival of being like,
Yeah.
hey, if you fall, you're with one other person. They're not going to be able to get you out. There's no cell phone service. There's no one up here. What are you
Yeah.
doing?
I think the other spirits, Sam, the bad ones, are guiding me towards evil.
Yeah.
They want me to rock, you know? And I have to be like, guys, I don't have time today. I have to do this episode with Sam. We can sacrifice later, okay? Where to now?
I want to know what he's eating.
Oh yes, TUI. You know they eat good. I've seen Justice eat maybe 32 White Castles. So when TUI and let's say it's Big Kiss Goodnight era, you finally got an extra $100 to eat, you know?
Hell yeah.
What is the band unanimously choosing to stop and get?
That era, it's straight to Taco Bell. So this is in the era of meal deals. I don't know if they still do them at Taco Bell, but this was like
they do boxes now.
The box. Cravings box.
The introduction of the meal deal was about 2010 or 11. Major milestone in TUI history.
$2 for a 5-layer burrito, a bag of Doritos, and a medium drink.
Yeah, so that was, we lived just a disgusting lifestyle back then. It was like McDonald's breakfast, like Subway lunch, Taco Bell after the show.
Yeah. The big three. That's the real the unholy trinity.
Yeah.
That's what they say.
Yeah.
Now, Sam, let me ask you, because I'm interested in your fitness and your dieting to an extent. What would the answer be today?
Today, TUI is posted up at Whole Foods for like hours per day when we tour. We're hitting the hot bar multiple times at the hot bar.
Yeah.
We're getting bags full of food from Whole Foods. That's like kind of our gathering place now.
Let me ask you this, Sam. Have you had the hot bar from Erewhon?
Yes, I have. Amazing.
That'll do it every time. It's about 500 times more than the Whole Foods one, which is free. So there is that.
Yeah.
But my God, it's good.
Yeah, the whole band I would say is like in a healthier era now.
Yeah.
It was just all out, just mayhem back then with
Jared in particular, I think went from like guy who had worked out at some point to like, if he tells me to do something physically, I believe him, you know?
Yeah.
Like absolute Spartan-esque physical prowess.
He lives like a Spartan-esque lifestyle now.
Yes, it's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. So
tell me about what's a day for you like now?
These days, we're up pretty early.
How early?
4:30 to 5. No.
I went to bed at 4.
I lost you on that.
No. I did that for a little bit, and then
the demons got to you.
No, and then Spring Forward happened 2 years ago, and I fell off. I never fell back.
Never fell back.
No.
Yeah, so we're up pretty early.
Wow.
Straight into the gym.
Yeah.
Okay.
5 a.m.
No coffee, no number 2, nothing?
This has been something I've gone back and forth on. I like coffee before, but it does cause some digestive issues.
Yeah.
Mid-set, you might have to go.
I just finished my coffee and I'm
I'm churning here. I'm
God.
Yeah,
Steven, bleep just that word. I've become a fan of going to the gym earlier rather than later because these days.
Oh, you have to, dude. If I go late,
I'm starting to dread it.
Right.
The later I go, I'm starting to dread it, and getting it done early feels so fucking good.
Getting it done, the what's funny is getting it done early for you is like you're finally showered and you're sat down at your desk for your day at 6 p.m.
tell them about the brief convo we had last night about the episode today.
Oh, I said, "Hey, man, is 12:30 good for you tomorrow?" And he said he sent the sad face emoji and said, "I'll set an alarm."
I thought that was in reaction to 10:30.
Well,
12:30.
12:30 Chicago
I'm
time,
12:30 in Chicago.
Oh man, I'm sorry to rip you out of bed, man.
No, not
No,
at all,
no,
but
he needs to be ripped out
I
of
did
bed.
wake up. I do generally wake up around that time, but I did set an alarm. That was not an
Wow.
exaggeration. So after the gym, what are we doing?
Oh,
Well, let's talk about at the gym.
Oh, you want to get into
Okay.
it? Wow.
What's your weekly split like?
Yeah, what's the split?
so I've been training with Chris Martin. Do you know him? He was in Hostage Calm. He does
Oh,
Boston Barbell now.
Cool.
Okay, I thought you were talking about the guy from Coldplay.
No, not in person, but he's been like helping me program and coaching.
Oh, okay.
So
Mhm.
we've been doing that for a few months, and it's pretty sick. Like he's awesome. He has me doing all
Nice.
kinds of stuff. But yeah, lots of like benching, squatting, rowing stuff, but like
Old school.
he's got like all types of like tempo stuff built in there, like more
Oh.
technical things than I would think to do. Because without that, I'm pretty like Neanderthal, like squatting,
Yeah.
benching, like the deadlifts, like no tempo, anything, no real progression.
Are you 5 days a week?
Yeah, 5 days a week. So they're pretty long workouts. Like I'm doing 5 until 6:30 basically, and then
Jesus.
kids wake up at 6:30. Then I'm kind of watching them making breakfast
Wow.
until whatever 8:30 is that time frame.
Mhm.
I go to work, at 9. I work here out of this office.
How far is this office from where? What's your commute like?
10 minutes.
Okay,
It's a beautiful downtown Coeur d'Alene.
nice.
And,
And could you talk about what you do professionally?
Yeah, so I work for a tech company that I actually helped start with a few other friends, actually people from HardLore.
Sick.
Dude, Alex Pines, who was actually in Carroll back in the day.
Oh, cool.
Dude.
I don't know if you guys
OG.
know him, but he's like, if you were from Baltimore, DC, you would know him.
Okay.
Him and then Kay Yusui. We started this company 5 or 6 years ago, and with someone that was a client of ours, and now it's like a real company, which is cool.
That's
Like,
awesome.
A lot of people work for it now, at least in relative terms,
Mhm.
like 120 people or something, and
Oh
we
wow. Shit.
basically do that full time. And it's a financial tech company around estate planning, which is
Hell yeah.
basically like what happens when you die, like all the planning that happens after you die.
All the taxes and whatnot.
There's a lot of stuff that happens.
Brutal, dude.
Yeah, so we're doing that and been doing that for a while. I was doing design before that. Like my background's in design. Had a design agency with Alex and went to school for design and all that. So that's 9 to 5 basically, and then family time, early bedtime. So like
Yeah, how early? What are we talking?
9 o'clock, 8:39.
The kids. How old
yeah.
are the kids?
5, 3, and 5, almost 3 and 6 months.
Wow.
Okay, so you got them on 9 p.m. now, but someday that's going to change, brother. You might
That's
have a
fine.
bow. You might have a bow on your hands.
I mean, hopefully not too soon. Like we're trying to keep it pretty consistent. They can do that when they're like adults, but
Yeah,
Okay.
just keep them away from fucking World of Warcraft. They'll be fine.
oh yeah.
Tell you what.
There's none of that in Idaho. We don't have that here.
Sick.
No war. Craft?
no Warcraft. No.
Did you? I mean, the internet. That you had to go to the office to get internet. So that
Yeah.
I got you.
Just culturally speaking, they're not into that stuff here. It's a little.
What's the vibe there?
Have you been up this way before?
Nah,
Yeah.
I haven't been to the northern version of Idaho. I think.
Yeah. Well, first of all, it's like super mountainy, like lakes, like great outdoor area.
Yeah.
Cool.
Like you're
Are you-
close to 4 lakes right here. Like I'm walking distance to one right here.
Now, why Idaho, Sam?
We did a couple moves since we had our first son. And that was we were in California. We moved to Richmond, and then wanted to settle down somewhere, raise our kids. And my wife Raquel lived here for a few years when she was younger,
Mm.
and
Beautiful.
she's like, "Hey, it's pretty awesome there." And we kind of she still had some family here, and it just kind of locked in for us. It was also kind of like the COVID like remote work shift, so
Yeah.
probably would have been like a bizarre move pre-COVID, but then once it happened, it was kind of like all bets are off and people are moving all
Totally.
over. So
Yeah, totally.
yeah, I mean, like amazing move for us. Like it's so good here. It's like I wish people could visit more easily. Like I wish it was off the New Jersey Turnpike or something, so
Yeah,
people
what's the
could stop
airport?
by.
What's the is
Spokane.
Spokane? Wow.
Yeah.
And
Oh, wow.
there's probably
Yeah,
not
but-
many directs, huh? It's probably Seattle and then a layover.
Yeah, you do Seattle, Salt Lake.
Yeah.
I think there's some directs to the Bay, like to Oakland.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
there are.
cool.
You do that. But yeah, there's
Salt
just like
Lake,
a
great
super-
airport.
Dude,
Great airport, great restaurants.
Salt legit probably my favorite one.
Me too.
Wow.
I love
I
Salt
was
Lake.
there for a couple hours after 818. I just love it there.
Beautiful.
My company's headquarters is there. Like we go there all the time.
Nice.
But yeah, it's super like everyone has a family here. Everyone has kids.
Yeah.
People love that you have kids here. It's like kind of old fashioned. People are like the downtown here is like straight out of a movie,
Mhm.
and you're usually moving here to like
Like a horror movie where it's like before the killer starts killing and everybody's happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the happy place before the killing
Okay,
begins.
that's
Yeah.
cool. I love those parts.
Yeah.
I wish
my
they were
favorite
like that all the time.
Yeah, so it's like it's just it's awesome here, man. Yeah.
Beautiful. I'm happy for you
Yeah.
that you found peace. I hope that you can find some war within soon so that new TUI can exist. So I need a mild inconvenience in your life soon that makes you go, I gotta write a song about that.
Mm.
I'll see what I can do.
It's all I feel like it's all within already. Like
Yeah.
the music is there, but it's just been a time thing. So
Pull it out. We gotta pull it out of you.
we'll figure it out. We can talk offline and figure something out. I gotta get on a schedule or something.
Sounds good. Final question, Sam.
Yes.
Well, a two-parter really. Could you give me, and you take all the time you need, could you give me top 4 Baltimore hardcore records of all time?
Wow.
And then top 4 hardcore records of all time, period.
I'll start with all time off the cuff. Baltimore might be harder. All time for me, it's probably Madball, Hold It Down. I'm not going in super strict order, but like top
fine.
4 contenders, Hold It
Yeah.
Down is my favorite Madball record.
Love it.
Probably State of the World Dress. probably Rise of Brutality.
Fuck
Hatebreed.
yeah. Love it.
And probably Master Killer.
You
Welcome
get it,
aboard.
man.
We're on the same page, dude. We're on the same
Dude,
page.
I can't believe that you love State of the World Dress.
I think that
There's so few people I get to talk to about how good State of the World
Maybe
Dress
I'll
is.
run it back
Listen-
at the gym tonight. Maybe
listen to
I'll-
the first 10 seconds.
Straight up, dude.
That opening, it's the State of the World Dress. Motherfucker. Dude,
That's
like,
such a
that was
dynamic
probably
record. So much happens.
so
Yeah.
influential, dude. Just the first 10 seconds.
Sam, what year what year did you graduate high school?
04.
04. Okay.
Baltimore, man, I'm not going to be good at this because I'm not like a good historian. I mean, I can tell you like Stout to me, and I mean, dude, there's only so many options. I don't know
Sure.
a ton about Gut Instinct to be honest. Like I know their hits. Stout, I have seen like 100 plus times, and just like I literally have never listened to Stout on recording before. I'm not even joking.
And you don't even need to because you know every song.
You
No,
just
I know
know
every
every
song
part,
just back
yeah.
to back, just from
Yeah.
because I used to live, like a mile or less from Art Space and like Sidebar. Like I would just go to Stout shows like on a Tuesday night by myself, and there'd be like 40 people there, and like watch Stout at like 11 p.m. It's just like they play like every week basically.
You
So-
cannot. I love that 11 p.m. is your benchmark for like a crazy time.
It's the witching
That's
hour,
like-
dude.
Like an
That's like-
unimaginably late time is 11 p.m. in your
I'm trying
mind.
to paint like a dark picture of like a show that's like, not abiding by any rules versus like
practically
you.
dawn.
yeah. But that was real, man. And the next step up, dude, I don't know, like again, like I don't know their discography like record for record. It's just kind of like it's just the music has absorbed into me, and just like in terms of Baltimore bands, you only have so many options.
Yeah.
I feel like like those three are so influential for me, especially Stout. Because I just saw
Yeah.
Stout so much, and
You
just
can
like
definitely trace those, connect those dots for sure from Stout to TUI stuff. For
yeah,
sure.
and also just like those dudes are like mythical. Like if you watch, actually, I'm good friends with Will COLIN, that's in like Gridiron Never Ending Game, and
Yeah.
he sent me a video of Stout playing the other day from like 2008, and it was actually a show that we played. And you're just like looking at them on stage. It's just like they're so legendary, like Tad just has like the wife beater and just looks and sounds insane. Josh, their guitar player, is wearing like jeans that the pant legs are like this big around, and just like baggy, like 3 or 4X shirt, like some type of hat, like just the vibe is so good. And then
and Sleep Bitch is now back on streaming everywhere for the first time in a long time. So check that out.
I honestly can't imagine listening to them on recording. Like it's just the live is so important for Stout, I feel like.
I promise you it's still good recorded.
Okay, yeah, I mean
it's great.
You got to hear it recorded.
You should check them out.
Check them out. It's on Spotify. I'll check it out.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. I feel like COLIN is like your modern he's your muse.
Dude, Will and I talk all the time. Like it's so weird because we essentially had zero crossover in terms of like active touring time, and like if his bands were bands back then, we would have toured together all the time. We would have been best friends, and it's like, I mean, he's literally 10 years younger than me. So it's insane. Like when we were touring, like Big Kiss Goodnight was coming out, he was like in middle school.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So,
I remember a very young Will moshing for, he was up front in a Marauder shirt when we were playing. There was nobody there. This is in Grand Rapids in the biggest room that's ever. This was like, it felt like fucking Red Rocks, and there were 6 people there, and Will is one of them. And he's wearing like the Life is Pain shirt, and I was like, hey, it was like me addressing him personally, being like, hey man, because you're the guy here, you're the only guy here. We're gonna play Master Killer, so I need you to mosh really hard. And he was like, okay, and he did. So it was good. What a great lad. Sam, this has been a blast.
Yeah. Already 2:15. It's crazy.
I'm glad that the newer generation is going to get to know. Let me ask you something, Sam. You still straight edge?
I don't. I wouldn't say that I like self-identify as that anymore, but I don't. I've never drank or done drugs or anything. So
now, what is the choice to not self-identify as that? Why would you do that?
I just don't feel as strongly about the like. I think it's like smoking weed now. I think is a lot different than it was back when I was first straight edge when I was like 15. Like my opinion about at least that has changed, because back then it was like your friends were smoking weed and drinking and you're just like, oh, I'm straight edge, I don't do that. So like I'm not a fan of drugs in general, but like I don't care if people are like doing.
Well, it's not about caring what other people are doing. It's a personal journey, Sam.
Oh, I just don't. That's not the reason that I do it now. You know what I mean? Like I think it'd be inauthentic for me to self-identify as straight edge because I just like don't care about that anymore. But I do still think it's for me. It's not for me, is what I'm saying.
Okay, so Sam is still straight edge.
Yeah, we claim him. We still claim him.
We claim Sam.
In broad strokes. Wait, are you guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
You didn't know that? Then we failed, bro.
Yeah, you can claim me. I just like I've like gradually just been like, I don't really think about that anymore. But
I mean, Colin, you think you're going to be an 80-year-old guy saying you're straight edge?
100%. I know you're going to say, but on my deathbed, I've told you, on my deathbed will be the craziest speedball combo you've ever seen, and that's how I will go out on purpose. I promise you that.
I will say, like Nick Fury had a song that was called Teenage Straight Edge. It was like when we were like 18 or 19. And the whole concept of the song was like, older people saying like, you're going to break edge eventually. Like, and the whole song was like, no, I'm not. Like, you'll break before I do. And it's pretty cool because at least like me and Penny.
Because everyone did.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that's, I firmly believe I needed straight edge the most from 14 to 19.
1,000%.
That was like such a sick, like that was kind of my whole entry to hardcore because I was like, at the age where people start going to parties and stuff. And I was like, God, man, I don't feel like party guy. Like I'm not trying to go like smoke weed and get drunk. Like that seems stupid. But then it's a negative, right? It's like kind of like, I'm just like, whatever. And then you find this whole group of people that are like, no, that's awesome. Like, hell yeah. Like, don't do that stuff.
Exactly. You get you buy a bag of tomatoes at the store, you go outside the party, you have a way better time. So anybody listening that went to high school with me that there were tomatoes thrown, look no further. So good. You're still straight edge then.
in broad strokes, that's fine.
Whatever stroke, whatever stroke you need to stroke. It works for me.
I want to try to keep you on as long as possible to see how long you can go before shitting your pants.
I'm dying.
It's close.
Right now. I am.
It's close. I'm about to have my first son. Are there any, imparting words of wisdom you would like to leave to either the listeners or young hardcore songwriters out there, or fellow edgemen like yourself?
I don't know, man. I think my observation, at least, has been that the coolest bands come from like the most interesting and coolest people, So I think going back to the whole idea of like being authentic and not being scared about what people think, like I think that's what makes good bands. You obviously have to be a good musician and like good at songwriting, like that's equally important. But if you're not able to be authentic and kind of be interesting as a person, like your band's not going to be very interesting, So I think every cool band has like very weird, interesting, unique, cool people in them, and that's because those people are just like fully being themselves, So I think the world needs more bands and people that are fully being themselves and then like fully expressing that and not being weird about like, well, it's not really popular right now. We kind of want to sound like Madball or like Turnstile or whatever. It's kind of like just do whatever you think is cool, and people may think it's stupid, or it might be something that like people are like, oh my God, I've never heard something like that, So it's just, I think your potential impact as a band is much bigger when you are willing to kind of just do whatever weird thing feels right for you.
Love that. Well said. Well said.
Fantastic. Damn, that was one of my favorite sign-offs in history.
That was really good. Well,
because that was genuinely great advice
and true.
And true.
And you're proof of it. Amazing.
Sam, thank you so much for joining us today. We love having you. We thank you for your contributions to this beautiful world. And we hope there are more. Well, thank you.
There may be more.
Oh, good. Thank you all so much for watching. Put TUI on today. Put some Diamond Youth on today, formerly known as Diamond.
Put Biohazard on, apparently.
Put some State of the World Address on for sure. And have yourself a great day. Get inspired. We will see you next week. Thank you all so much. Bye.
Bye.